Welcome, welcome, young and old, to the greatest John Cena story ever told. Perhaps you are here because you are not satisfied with the story that WWE has told regarding John Cena over the last 8 months. Perhaps you're here because you are an enormous fan of John Cena, like I and many others are, and you are looking to consume as much John Cena content before he goes as humanly possible. Regardless of your specific reasons for being here, I'm thankful. And I'm also thankful that I get to book for you John Cena's final year. Every promo, every match, every appearance, from start to finish. Before we get into the booking itself, I do have a few rules that I want to go over. That way, everybody watching is on the same page. Now, if you don't want to listen to those rules, that's totally fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put right about here-ish the timestamp that you can skip to get right to the booking. And it's also in the description below. It should be labeled something like "Welcome to John Cena booking" or something along those lines. So first of all, here is what this booking is. It is every single appearance, promo, match, everything in between from John Cena from the start of the year on January 6th, the debut on Netflix, all the way until his final appearance in December. What this is not is going to follow the template that is happening in real life. This is a completely original story. So therefore, there are some unique rules that I have to tell all of you guys before we get into this. That way we're all on the same page. Number one, like I said, this is a completely original story, and therefore it is not based on what is happening in real life. Up to this point, it's going to be completely rewritten, as if I was able to go back in time and completely rewrite the entire history of this year for John Cena. That also means, though, the pay-per-view schedule is different, the pay-per-view names are different, the champions are different, everything is going to be different. So if you are expecting some kind of continuation from Summerslam or some previous PLE all the way up until John Cena's final appearance, that is not the case. We are completely rewriting history from the ground up. Number two, time jumps are going to be a thing in this booking. So you are going to see me with different hairstyles, different facial hairstyles, different clothes, different times of day, different pretty much everything. And that's just because I did not have time to record all of this in one sitting. If you had any idea how much raw footage I had, it would make your head spin. So again, time jumps are a thing. Don't worry about it. You're going to see it. Just wanted to let you guys know before. Number three, this booking does not follow the 35 appearance rule that John Cena has made such a big deal about in real life. There's multiple reasons for that. Number one, I just didn't want to be limited by anything, and I wanted to take my creative license and give it a completely unique story with fewer limitations than what WWE would have in real life. And the second reason is because following a strict 35 appearance rule is much more of a heel thing to do. And spoiler alert, John Cena does not turn heel in my booking. So I kind of wanted him to be around a little bit more often for the fans than maybe the heel John Cena in real life would be. Okay, rule number 4. If you have seen my friend Dan Lindsay's podcast, you will know that we actually told this story on his channel in 4 different blocks. This is going to be roughly 90% of that story. So if you have seen those, there is still some additional content for you. And also, again, it's shoved into one long video. But again, if you did see those videos, you will have seen roughly 90% of this story. It's not a completely different story from what we told on Dan Lindsay's channel. I'm also going to put Dan's channel in the description so that if you guys want to see the slightly abridged version of this story, you can go check out those videos as well. And the last thing I want to talk about before we jump into the actual booking is I tried to use as many visuals as I thought appropriate, and quite frankly, as many visuals as possible in order to tell this story more effectively. However, there are significant chunks of this story that it is just me talking on screen, but you're going to notice if you've seen any of my videos before, there's going to be a lot more visuals than I would normally do, a lot more creative license that I have taken in this one, and therefore a lot more work done on this video than what I have done in the past. So hopefully that makes this video a little more palatable and a little more enjoyable. But even with that, there are still going to be chunks, like I said, of just me on screen. So just wanted to give everybody a fair warning. All the boring stuff is out of the way now that we are all on the same page. Welcome to John Cena's final year.
Tonight, I officially announce my retirement from the WWE.
Ruthless aggression. He just beat John Cena at Summerslam.
If you want some, hurry up and come get some, because the last time is now.
The greatest of all time.
Much like in real life, we start on January 6th, the first Raw on Netflix. Cena comes out full of life and vigor. He says, well, we made it. This is it. In 360 days, I will no longer be an employee of the WWE. For the last 22 years, you have seen me step into this ring and give you everything I have. And for the next 360 days, starting tonight, I plan to continue to do so. With one major difference. I'm running out of time. April 27th, 2018. That is the last time John Cena secured a one-on-one victory in this company. And weirdly, it was against the man who is now my boss. Man, how time flies. Even darker than that, 2,505. That, my friends, is the number of days since John Cena has beat a full-time wrestler one-on-one. For the visual learners out there, that is 6 years, 10 months, and 10 days ago. Man. And I've got 1 year to reverse it all. 1 year to prove one last time that I am the man you say I am. Some of you in the crowd may know. Some of you watching at home may know. I have already declared myself for the Royal Rumble. And I plan on winning it. I don't have any time anymore to wait around for things to come to me. I don't have another 7 damn years to lick my wounds if something doesn't go right. My time is now. And this time, it is now or never. That's not the last time you're going to hear that phrase. You're going to hear it strewn throughout this booking. It's going to be John Cena's tagline of sorts. And quite frankly, if you don't like it, that's just too bad, because it's in there. We're going to start this booking off a little bit slow in terms of John Cena's matches and overall appearances, but I can assure you, as this booking goes on, it will pick up quite a bit. And that starts on the January 20th edition of Raw. Braun Breaker has been tasked with finding himself a partner for a tag team match that he has later on in the night against Finn Balor and JD McDonough. The reason behind this is because Braun Breaker is going to be defending his Intercontinental Championship at the Royal Rumble against Finn Balor. The problem is Breaker has alienated himself from just about everyone else in the locker room. He is brash, he's arrogant, and he thinks he's better than everyone else, despite the fact that he is so young and only been on the roster for a short while. And of course, nobody really likes that. Even people who hate Finn Balor, like Damian Priest, for instance, refuse to team with Breaker because they look at him as selfish and arrogant. So the match is set to begin, and Braun Breaker walks out alone, with Finn Balor and JD McDonough already in the ring. Braun grabs the microphone before the match begins, and he says, "You know what? No, I don't have a partner. But you know what? That's fine, because I'll just kick both your asses myself." And right as the bell is about to ring and Braun Breaker is handing his Intercontinental Championship over to the referee, John Cena's music hits. And it's announced that John Cena will be Braun Breaker's tag team partner, even though Braun Breaker had no idea John was coming. So Cena and Breakker tag together, and they actually win the match. Breakker ultimately spears JD McDonough and hits the 1, 2, 3. This gives Breakker some much-needed momentum going into that match at the Rumble. Breakker and Cena then shake hands, and Cena nods in respect before giving Breakker the ring to celebrate. Cena does not appear after that until the night of the Royal Rumble, but before we get into what happens to him, I do have to give all of you a bit of context before we jump in. Earlier in the night, a backstage vignette airs of Solo Sikoa flanked by Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. Solo guarantees that the real tribal chief, not Roman Reigns, will win the Royal Rumble tonight, and it doesn't matter what it takes. A little bit later on in the evening from that vignette, the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther retains his championship against CM Punk, and the WWE Champion defeats Kevin Owens to retain his championship. So that means the champions going into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view will be Cody Rhodes and Gunther. That moves us to the Men's Royal Rumble match, and as for John Cena, he enters at number 30. Don't complain, he's like 50, okay? He does not need to be starting this match and going the whole thing. He doesn't need to put up a Royal Rumble performance for the ages, so let's give the biggest star in the match the number 30 spot. Anyways, Cena is left in the ring with Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Pete Dunne, who, by the way, came in at number 29. I'm not giving some gigantic push to Pete Dunne, even though would love it. Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, and Jacob Fatu. So there are only 7 men left when Cena enters. Well, if you include Cena, there's 7 left. The new bloodline then clear out most of the competition, with the final 4 consisting of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, and John Cena. And by the way, this isn't some normal Final 4 that you would see in the Rumble. You know, when there's 4 guys left, they always back into each respective corners, and they all stare at each other, and the camera cuts to each individual one of them, and they look around, and the commentary team says, "We're down to Cena! We're down to Reigns! We're down to..." It's not going to be like that, okay? The Bloodline essentially dominate most of the last third of the match, with Fatu and Sikoa eliminating a good amount of the competition. So by the time we get to this Final 4, Roman Reigns and John Cena are in a very bad way, and it just so happens that these are the last 4 left. Sikoa and Fatu focus their attention now on the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, looking at him as the biggest obstacle left in the match, with John Cena being, in their mind, on the last legs of his career. And we can argue semantics all day long, whether that's right or whether that's wrong, or whether they should do that at all, but ultimately, it works out for them as Fatu and Sikoa eliminate Roman Reigns, leaving just those 2 men and John Cena left to duke it out. Cena realizes the predicament he finds himself in, and he pulls himself up in the corner, and Sikoa and Fatu then turn to face him. Can Super Cena pull this thing off one more time, or will he succumb to the bloodline? As this thought process is running through our heads, and maybe even Cena's head, suddenly Jacob Fatu super kicks Solo Sikoa, and he goes flying over the top rope and is eliminated. The crowd erupts as it appears that the Samoan werewolf has turned his back on his tribal chief. Many of you may remember the triple threat match between John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H from, I believe it was 2009. If not, then essentially it was John Cena in a triple threat match against both halves of D-Generation X. The story was that DX did not care which one of those 2 gentlemen walked out as champion. They just knew it was going to be one of them, and they were going to work together to stop Cena. But ultimately, Shawn Michaels started that match by super kicking Triple H out of the ring, and hopefully this spot with Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa will harken back to those memories. And so the final 2 now becomes Jacob Fatu and John Cena, and Fatu turns and looks at Cena with hate and anger burning in his eyes. Everybody, even John Cena, knows how dangerous Jacob Fatu is. But while Jacob Fatu is dangerous, he is also reckless. He pounds his chest, he lets out a scream, and he charges at John Cena as hard as he can. Cena backs up to the ropes, pulls down the top rope, and Jacob Fatu goes flying out of the ring, and both feet touch the floor, and Jacob Fatu has been eliminated. John Cena has won the 2025 Royal Rumble. So he thinks. Cena begins to celebrate, pumping his fist, screaming with the guttural scream that would come after getting the biggest victory possibly in your entire career. But after a few seconds, Cena looks around and realizes that he never heard the bell ring. Suddenly, he begins to hear something, some faint laughter outside of the ring. He takes a look and notices that Jacob Fatu is laughing. Solo Sikoa then walks around to where Jacob Fatu is seated up on the barricade. He sits down next to him and he begins laughing and puts his arm around the man who it seemed just a couple of short seconds ago had turned his back on it. Is there something going on? Is there something that John Cena and the rest of us are missing? Suddenly, the countdown starts. 10, 9, 8. What? The Royal Rumble is 30 people. This doesn't make sense. Then the buzzer sounds. The Rock comes out with the number 31 graphic sprayed all over the Titantron in the background. He is on the board. Matter of fact, he is the director of the board. So The Rock can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And so, he destroys the concept of the 30-man Rumble and enters at number 31. And John, having already thought he won, his head, his body, they're no longer in it. And in short order, The Rock throws John Cena over the top rope, and this time the bell does ring, and the winner of the 2025 Royal Rumble is The Rock. And as The Rock flashes his fist up in the air as the pyro goes off, and The Rock points to the WrestleMania sign in celebration of his victory, Cena sits dejected on the ramp, a mirror image of the final scene of WrestleMania 28, when he also lost to The Rock. A couple nights later, John Cena comes out on Monday Night Raw and says this. All right, folks. Let's cut to the chase. I failed. Seems I've been doing that a lot lately. But you all know me. You've known me a long time. I've never been one to make excuses. But you also know me as the guy who is always honest with you, much like you've been honest with me, and you also know me as the guy who always has the answers, always has the right thing to say. And so, because I've always been honest with you, I feel I owe it to you to say that I don't have any answers right now. I don't know how I could have performed any better at the Rumble. I don't know how The Rock can just come out at number 31 in a 30-man Rumble. I don't know what my path is on the road to WrestleMania, and at this point, I don't know if I belong here. Maybe this was all just a bad idea. Maybe I've aged out. Maybe. Cena puts the mic down, and as he is about to exit the ring, Triple H comes out and confronts John. Triple H says, "Thank you, John, for blessing us with the year of Cena." And I know, I get it. You're falling on hard times right now, but you're John Cena. In all of our years together, the words "never give up" have always kept you going. And by the way, long before it was ever stuck on a Fruity Pebble colored t-shirt. And those 3 words, "never give up," have never been more important than they are right now. I hope you all know that there are certain things in this industry that at this point, John Cena no longer has to earn. And one of those things is a second chance. So, I'm here to announce that we, on Monday Night Raw, will be holding a tournament to determine the 6 participants in the Raw Elimination Chamber match. The winner of that match will be the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestlemania. There will be 2 singles matches tonight and also 2 singles matches next week. The winner of those 4 matches will determine the participants who will enter the pods of the chamber. The other 2 spots, I guess you guys are just going to have to tune in and find out. The first match, which is happening next, is the Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker will go 1-on-1 with Sami Zayn. And the second match, which will happen a little bit later on tonight, will be John Cena versus Damian Priest. Because, well, John, you have certainly earned a second chance. Nobody earns an easy one. And maybe, if you win, you'll get yourself back in the main event. So, you better go get to stretching, old man. You're gonna need it. He smacks Cena on the shoulder, and he walks away. So, in the match between Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn pulls out a victory, a little bit of revenge for Braun Breaker taking the Intercontinental Championship from Sami Zayn all those months ago, because Breaker is cost the match by an interfering Ludwig Kaiser, who was sent down by Gunther to cause chaos in the match, because he meaning Gunther, looks at Zayn and Breaker as his 2 biggest threats to take the title from him. How it went down was Braun Breaker went to spear Zayn through the steel steps when he was intercepted by a huge knee from Kaiser while Kaiser was wearing a metal knee brace. Ultimately, he was thrown back into the ring. Sami Zayn took advantage with a haluva kick and got the 1-2-3 on the Intercontinental Champion, who was in such a bad way that after the match, he had to be helped to the back by doctors and trainers so that he could be checked for a concussion. 2 matches later, and not in the main event, John Cena versus Damian Priest will take place. Cena puts up a good fight, but ultimately he struggles throughout the match to put Damian Priest away. Eventually, he does get Damian Priest up for the AA, and he plants him, but Priest kicks out. Eventually, as the match goes on, Priest's brute strength and unrelenting offense is too much for Cena, and he hits John with a South of Heaven. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest advances to the chamber with a little bit of ease. Cena, after the match, is completely dejected. He walks gingerly and shamefully back to the locker room. Just before the main event of Raw is about to begin, the camera cuts to backstage in the trainer's room as Cena stumbles into the room to be worked on after his match. Braun Breaker is still in the trainer's room being checked on and evaluated for a concussion. Breaker has an ice pack on his head and he is trying to lick his wounds, and the 2 men have a back and forth. Cena begins by asking, "They get you, kid?" Breaker says, No, I'm cleared. I'm good to go, or at least I will be. Good. Cena shuffles, holds his rib cage, and grimaces in pain. Breaker says, "You all right there, old-timer?" No, I'm not. Oh, don't tell me they broke your ribs or something. It's not quite my ribs that are broken. You know, John, I want you to know something. I believe in you. You're one of my heroes in this industry. You mean a lot to me, to my family, to my dad, to my uncle, to everybody. I mean, you're the greatest of all time. And the fact that you stood up for me when no one else would tells me everything I need to know. Thanks, Braun. Hopefully one day I can prove your family right. Come on, John. You already have. Breakker then gets up, puts the ice pack down, and walks away. The next week, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk both qualify for the Chamber by beating Sheamus and Finn Balor, respectively. The whole show, Cena sits in a press box, alone. He seems completely hopeless, barely looking up except to see the results of those two matches. And after the conclusion of the second qualifier match, he leaves, maybe never to come back. Cena is seen leaving the backstage area with his luggage when Adam Pearce catches up with him. Adam wonders where Cena's going, and Cena tells him that he just doesn't see a future with this retirement tour right now. He's gonna go home. He's gonna come back after WrestleMania when maybe he'll be needed, because right now he doesn't deserve to have a last WrestleMania. And quite frankly, he's not even sure if he deserves to be there at all. Adam Pearce tells him that, well, he's John Cena and he can do what he feels like he needs to do. Obviously, Cena knows a lot better than Adam Pearce does what Cena needs, but he will end up missing his match next week if he does go home. Cena, of course, asks what match that Pearce is referring to, since he wasn't told anything about it. Pearce says, what, you didn't hear? I just made it official. Next week, there will be a last chance tag team match featuring all 4 of the superstars who lost their qualifiers, and the team that wins that match will both enter the Chamber. So, next week, it's going to be Sheamus and Finn Balor versus John Cena and Braun Breaker. So, next week, Cena grabs his luggage, tips his cap, and walks away. Next week, Braun Breaker proves pivotal in helping John Cena prepare for his match. Throughout the show, small vignettes and video packages appear of Braun Breaker and John Cena doing a variety of activities together. Lifting weights, running on a football field, eating together. Whatever it may be, Breaker and Cena are doing it together. And Braun Breaker is helping John Cena get back to his proper form. And most importantly, you can start to see John Cena's smile and confidence come back, slowly but surely throughout the night. The last chance tag team match happens, and John Cena looks completely rejuvenated, and ultimately Breaker and Cena win the match and are in the Chamber, with Braun Breaker once again getting a victory over Finn Balor. But remember, Triple H said the winner of the 4 qualifying singles matches would enter the pods, so that means the winner of the last chance tag team match would have to start the Chamber. So that means that John Cena and Braun Breaker have gotten in, but they will have to start the match against each other. The only match of consequence that occurs on this show is that Gunther retains the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg and officially retires him. And so we get to the men's Elimination Chamber match, which will be a #1 contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And ultimately, both Braun Breaker and John Cena not only start the match, but they finish the match. They make it all the way to the end to face each other. But quite frankly, John has very little to do with it. The match is mainly dominated by Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, with Damian Priest eliminating Sami Zayn, CM Punk, and ultimately Drew McIntyre before Braun Breaker hits a spear and cleans up Priest. Breaker and Cena then have a little mini match that may only last 3 or 5 minutes, but Cena is absolutely destroyed. He's taken several haluva kicks, a South of Heaven, and a Claymore, and so he does not have a whole lot left. Breaker then hits Cena with a spear and covers him 1, 2, and Cena throws his left shoulder up and kicks out. Breaker lines up for another spear, and as he goes to hit it, he stops and Cena collapses. Breakker is hesitating for his friend. He yells at John Cena to stay down. He doesn't want to do this. He then starts yelling at Cena that, Cena, you're better than this. Why can't you just put up a fight? Go out like a man, John. Just be a man. Fight me. Fight me, John. Don't make me end you like this. Fight me. Cena then snatches Breakker up in a roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Cena steals it. The crowd goes bananas. Cena is barely conscious, similar to the first time he won the Elimination Chamber in 2006. Braun Breakker simply cannot believe it. While Breakker is angry, at the same time, he knows he has his own path to WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion. So that anger, that frustration, that surprise is transformed into pride for John. John Cena will face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. And so it is John Cena versus Gunther at WrestleMania. And Cena only shows up on the Raw before WrestleMania for a contract signing and promo with Gunther. Gunther says that Cena is the reason that he is the way he is. Much like many of those wrestlers in the back, John Cena is Gunther's greatest inspiration. But it's not because he's his hero. Gunther says, the reason that this great sport has been so tainted is because of you. You have taken away opportunity after opportunity from people like me for more than 2 decades. And now I am here on behalf of them to end you and end your dreams. These people say you're the GOAT. Why? Because you've been milked from every last drop of productivity that you have in your body? Is that what happened, John? Are you just a shell of your former self? Do you know what they do to goats where I come from? Do you know what they do to goats in my country? We milk them for everything they're worth. Then we throw them in a cage and we kill them and use their meat to feed our children. If you are the GOAT, then you have been led to the slaughter at WrestleMania at the hands of me. The ring, get it on. Cena looks a bit baffled and says, well, you know, I got to admit, congratulations, Gunther. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and you have managed somehow to put my demise in a way that I haven't quite heard before. So, congrats to you on that. And now, I'm going to tell you something you've probably never heard before. I agree with you. You're bigger than me, stronger than me, faster than me, although that last one at this point in my life's not really saying much. But here's another thing you've never heard before. Are you ready? I don't think you're ready. Are you ready? Yeah, y'all are ready. You're not special. There have been dozens of superstars, nay, dozens of men just like you, touted as the one that was finally going to put me down, end me, kill me, destroy my career, make me embrace the hate, make me lose my sense of self and purpose. Well, in case you haven't noticed, Jack, all those people, every single one of those superstars are gone, and I'm still here. So, you're going to slaughter me at WrestleMania, are you? Well, you're welcome to try, but my career hasn't been defined by the men I've beat, but rather by the men who couldn't figure out a way to beat me. I've lost to plenty of men, monsters, dead men, savages, beasts, but no one, not one of them, figured out a way to keep me down. And looking at you right now, you're not special enough to figure that out either. When the lights go out on April 19th and the day is all said and done, you will wake up and have the next 15 years of your career ahead of you. You'll have 15 years of chances to take and mistakes to overcome. And this is my one shot And when a man is put into a corner and has nothing left to lose but time itself, there is no one more dangerous than that man. Because he will do anything to himself or to anyone else to win. So go ahead, chop me until my chest bleeds. Powerbomb me until my skull caves in. Go ahead. Put me in your sleeper until my eyes pop out of my head. And I will just keep coming. At WrestleMania, I will become the only 17-time world champion in the history of this company because you, Gunther, are not tough enough, brave enough, or special enough to stop me. Cena and Gunther sign the contract and no fight ensues because I want to ensure that these two don't touch until WrestleMania. And that brings us to the big dance itself, WrestleMania 41. The only bit of cleanup that I want to talk about is that Braun Breaker defends his Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match that is ultimately won by Drew McIntyre. So Breaker loses his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, a little bit before John Cena will compete. And so the match ensues, John Cena versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and unfortunately, Gunther was right. This match is a slaughter. For 20 minutes, Gunther beats John Cena within an inch of his life. But Cena was also right in that no matter what Gunther threw at him, he just kept coming. Gunther could not find a way to keep John Cena down. As the match winds down and we get towards the end, Gunther puts John Cena in a sleeper for the third time, and Cena runs towards the corner turnbuckle, and the referee unfortunately cannot get out of the way and is crushed by the weight of both men. This opens the door then for Ludwig Kaiser to get involved as John Cena locks in the STF and makes Gunther visibly tap out and then pass out. But then Kaiser hits the ring and rakes John Cena's eyes, forcing John Cena to break the hold. He then drags John Cena out of the ring and delivers his swinging DDT to John Cena on the announce table. Kaiser throws John Cena back in the ring as Gunther just begins to stir. He gets one arm over the top of Cena and covers him. 1, 2, and Cena gets that shoulder up and kicks out. Kaiser, who rarely interferes in Gunther's matches, is now losing it, as Gunther wasn't even aware that Kaiser was going to do this, so he knows he's going against orders. Kaiser then grabs a chair and gets into the ring and is about to hit John Cena in the back when the chair is taken from behind him on the other side of the ropes by the former Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker, who has come to John Cena's aid. Kaiser realizes the massive mistake that he made not wanting to interfere with Braun Breaker's business any longer, and he runs out of the ring as Braun Breaker chases him, still holding the chair. You definitely don't want to get caught in that if you're Kaiser. But what ultimately happens is Kaiser goes out one side of the ring, Breaker goes out the other side, and as Kaiser tries to get to the ramp to run away, Breaker chases him, still with the chair, around the other side of the ring and spears him while still holding the chair. Obviously, that's going to hurt quite a bit, especially given that Braun Breaker just had a grueling ladder match where he lost his IC championship. Breaker is in a bad way, but he's willing to sacrifice his body to save his friend. After delivering that spear with the chair, Breaker then crumbles to a heap, but he tries to fight through the pain and uses the chair to stand up. John Cena looks out and sees what Breaker has been willing to do for him. He's exhausted, he's beat up, but yet he still was willing to sacrifice himself for John. So Cena looks out and inside of the camera says thank you. And as Breaker is picking himself up with the chair, Breaker tips his cap, as John Cena would do. Cena's face then changes. He looks in the middle of the ring and sees a broken, beaten Gunther. And so Cena suddenly pulls himself up, as does Gunther. Shoulder tackle. And another one. Spinning side slam, followed by the you can't see me and the 5-knuckle shuffle. Michael Cole starts yelling on commentary, "He's gonna do it! My God! Cena's gonna do it! Cena's gonna do the impossible!" But as Cena lifts Gunther up for an AA, he spins to face the hard cam, and from behind, he is hit in the back with a chair by Braun Breaker. The referee, still reeling from getting crushed earlier, sees none of this. Breaker hits Cena with the chair in the back again and again and again. Breaker then pulls Gunther on top of Cena's body as the referee begins to stir. Breaker leaves the ring, still holding the chair. The referee counts 1, 2, and somehow Cena kicks out again. Breaker's eyes turn just in time to see Gunther get a burst of energy and lock John Cena as he's kicking out into a sleeper again. And this time, John Cena can't escape. John Cena passes out, and Gunther retains the World Heavyweight Championship. All thanks to Braun Breaker. Breaker then begins to walk away, holding the steel chair and admiring it. Warped, bent, and destroyed, just like Cena's back. Breaker laughs and smiles, admiring everything that he's done. He has tried and ultimately succeeded to destroy John Cena's last chance for a WrestleMania moment. John gave it the fight of his life, but ultimately, no matter the circumstances, in his self-described one shot, he failed. So after failing to dethrone Gunther at WrestleMania, John Cena will be off TV for a little while. So we will instead move to April 21st, the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, where the former Intercontinental Champion and the man who attacked John Cena, Braun Breaker, will cut a promo. He will talk about the Intercontinental Championship, and he will, of course, talk about John Cena. Breaker says he can't understand how John Cena could be so stupid. He was never his friend. I mean, he figured maybe he could use John Cena to get to the top of the industry, maybe pick his brain, get some wisdom, and maybe, even just maybe, be his tag team partner. But instead, John Cena, it became so evident that he was way, way too selfish to share his own spotlight. So Breaker did the only thing that he felt like he could do. He destroyed him. So, bye-bye, John. And as far as the badass is concerned, the John Cena retirement tour is canceled. And he is never coming back. And every single person in this arena and every single person watching at home know this. There's not a damn thing anyone can do about it. And that is when CM Punk comes out and responds. Fresh off of a loss in a Fatal 4-Way match at WrestleMania, CM Punk says he isn't in the mood to hear stupid things from stupid people. And this isn't the same CM Punk that we have known our entire lives. This isn't the same CM Punk that wrestled John Cena over a decade ago, and I think anybody with eyes, ears, and a brain can figure that out. But there is no way that the CM Punk of old would have come out to defend John Cena like this, but again, here we are. Punk says that Cena is his greatest rival ever in this industry, but more importantly, John Cena is his friend. And as many horrible, terrible things that you could say about CM Punk, the one thing you can't say is that he wouldn't do anything to defend his friends. So Punk challenges Braun Breaker to a match a little bit later on in the evening, and Breaker accepts. And in that match, Punk looks like he's about to put Breaker away when he is blasted through the barricade outside the ring by Big Bronson Reed. Reed has returned from his injury, and he blames CM Punk for that injury, mostly because, well, CM Punk took credit for it after Punk pulled Roman Reigns off of a table at War Games as Bronson Reed was trying to hit a tsunami. He then beats down Punk, and the match ends in a no contest. So, now CM Punk is feuding with Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker will try to regain the Intercontinental Championship back from Drew McIntyre after McIntyre won the IC title from Breakker in that ladder match at Mania. But all throughout the build-up to Backlash, Punk and Breakker continue to mention each other's names in their promos and how much they think the other is stupid. That way, we as wrestling fans in our minds know that those guys' feud is still ongoing. So, at Backlash, it is CM Punk versus Bronson Reed, and ultimately, CM Punk would pick up the victory after Reed was distracted by a man in a black hood who jumped the barricade and walked slowly out to ringside. Reed then turned around into a GTS where Punk picked up the win. And then it's revealed that the man in the black hood was none other than Seth Rollins. Seth remembers everything that Bronson Reed did to him, all the attacks, putting him on the shelf, and the time that he took Seth Rollins to the limit. And Seth Rollins is out for revenge, so much so that he's even willing to help his mortal enemy CM Punk by proxy to do it. And of course, later on in the evening, Drew McIntyre defends the Intercontinental Championship against the former champ Braun Breakker, and that match ends with a McIntyre win after interference from, you guessed it, CM Punk. I know, this has been a lot of interference, very, very interference heavy here early on. I promise that's the last one for a while. So CM Punk costs Braun Breakker the Intercontinental Championship, and therefore their feud has now restarted. And that means that at Clash at the Castle on June 21st, it will be Braun Breakker versus CM Punk in a street fight, with the winner becoming the #1 contender for Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. But before we get there, we have to talk about King of the Ring. We now skip ahead to the May 19th edition of Monday Night Raw. No one tell Kane, by the way, and Triple H comes out to the ring to announce the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments when he is interrupted by one Chad Gable, who says he is going to be the next King of the Ring. So Triple H, I'd better be in the tournament or else there will be consequences. So Triple H tells Chad Gable, hey, relax. I haven't even announced the participants yet. Look at the screen. And on the screen is the bracket for the King of the Ring tournament. And of course, Chad Gable is in fact in it, and he has a first round matchup that very night against Otis. Gable, of course, hates this because he has to face Otis again, and he just wants to get rid of Otis once and for all. But right when he starts complaining, Triple H stops him, and he says that he also respects Chad Gable a lot, and that he felt the same exact way that Chad feels right now a long time ago, way back in 1997, when Triple H was getting ready to enter the King of the Ring tournament that year. And you know what happened, Chad? I won the King of the Ring tournament in 1997, and I felt the exact same way you did. I knew that I was going to be the next big star in this company, and I manifested it, and it happened. And I, Triple H, feel so strongly that you are going to do the same thing tonight. I believe in you, Chad. I feel so strongly about it that I am going to sit at ringside to watch the crowning of the next great WWE superstar. This, of course, fires Chad Gable up, and he gets ready to take the next step forward in his career. So, we go to commercial break, and the Chad Gable and Otis match is scheduled to commence right then and there. And, of course, as is promised, Triple H sits at the commentary desk at ringside. But when Otis is scheduled to come out, unfortunately, he does not. The camera then cuts to the backstage area where Otis is being loaded into an ambulance. It's pretty clear that Chad Gable's cronies attacked Otis once they found out the match was going on. Chad Gable then grabs the microphone and looks at Triple H and says, "Oh, that's too bad. I guess you're just gonna have to award the match to me via forfeit. Thank you!" And all that jazz. It's clear that Chad Gable believes he has one-upped the game, but unfortunately, Master Gable is really just a student when it comes to this business. And Triple H then grabs the microphone and says, "You know, Chad, I had a feeling that you would pull something like this off tonight. And so, unfortunately for you, I have a backup plan. waiting in the wings. And after a short pause, a confused Chad Gable turns around only to hear the familiar trumpets of John Cena's music blaring throughout the arena. The crowd goes crazy as it becomes apparent that the new addition to the King of the Ring tournament will be John Cena. Chad and Cena have a 12-minute match, and for the first time in over 7 years, John Cena picks up a one-on-one victory in the WWE, defeating Chad Gable and moving on in the King of the Ring tournament. After the match is over, Triple H enters the ring and raises the hand of Cena and hugs him, and with the camera in range so that the audience at home can hear it, he says, "Welcome back to the main event." And Triple H leaves the ring, allows Cena to celebrate. Later on in the night, Braun Breaker is in a first-round matchup against Seth freaking Rollins. When Cena's music hits again, this distracts Breaker long enough for Seth Rollins to take advantage and eventually hit a curb stomp to defeat the former Intercontinental Champion and move on in the tournament. The camera then cuts to Cena in the production truck, laughing and saying, "Oops, did I do that?" And he runs away because, let's face it, John Cena is a bit silly. Breaker then storms backstage once he realizes all of this has occurred, and he confronts Adam Pearce and Triple H, who are having a meeting in Pearce's office. And Breaker says that they need to do something about their boy, costing him the chance at King of the Ring. And they say, yeah, no, that's called karma. You cost John Cena the World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestlemania, and so we think that he's just trying to get even. And frankly, we really don't blame him. And so I would say, keep your nose out of Cena's business, and maybe he'll just keep his nose out of yours. In fact, if you interfere in any of John Cena's matches throughout the rest of this tournament, then you will be suspended indefinitely. Breaker then angrily turns to leave, and the camera pans over to follow Breaker leaving when it reaches CM Punk, who just entered the office. And CM Punk says that if Breaker decides that he's, stupid enough to actually try something, Breaker won't have to worry about being suspended indefinitely, because Punk will make sure that he gets put on the shelf indefinitely. Breaker then storms out of the office, humiliated, and this will allow the story between Breaker and Punk, and also Breaker and Cena, to breathe a little bit without needing to have that be paid off right away. Next up, we have the May 26th edition of Monday Night Raw, and John Cena's next opponent in the King of the Ring tournament is Karrion Kross, whom Cena defeats in a close 15-minute match by making Karrion Kross tap out to the STF. No shenanigans, nice and simple. So Cena, of course, moves on to the next round of the tournament, and the next round is the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, and his opponent is Damian Priest, whom, if you remember, earlier on in the booking, he faced in an Elimination Chamber qualifier, and Damian Priest defeated handily. But here's the thing, this is not the same John Cena as we saw back in February. Cena is no longer dealing with a crisis of confidence, and so now, in this 18-minute match, rather than Damian Priest destroying John Cena like he did in February, John Cena hits Damian Priest with an avalanche AA for the 1-2-3, and John Cena will be the Raw representative at King of the Ring. And now, we just have to see who his opponent will be. By the way, yes, I am aware that this pay-per-view is going to be called King and Queen of the Ring, but I'm just going to be honest, I really don't feel like saying King and Queen of the Ring over and over and over again, so I'm just shortening it to King of the Ring if I have to say it a bunch of times in a row. We cool with that? Turns out, Braun Breaker is watching all of this happen from backstage, and he is absolutely seething at the fact that he is not the one that's going to be able to destroy John Cena and his hopes and dreams of being King of the Ring. And in anger and frustration, he grabs a baseball bat and he destroys the television monitor that he's been watching the show on. He also picks up a metal chair and goes to fling it out of frustration when that chair strikes a medical employee of the WWE. As Adam Pearce is walking by, he sees all of this happen. He sees Braun Breaker throwing this huge temper tantrum. He grabs Breaker and says, "You're coming to my office right now." Looks like Braun Breaker has found himself in quite a bit of doo-doo. Later on in the night, Adam Pearce announces that Braun Breaker has been fined $100,000 for the crime, we'll put that in quotes, crime, of injuring a WWE medical employee. And now, Braun Breaker is also on a zero-tolerance list, meaning if there are any other incidents of Braun Breaker injuring a WWE employee that is not a wrestler, meaning referee, manager, another medical personnel, one of the people in the production truck, it could be anybody. If they are not a wrestler and Braun Breaker injures them, then not only will he have to pay a second $100,000 fine, he will also be suspended for 90 days. So that now brings us to the June 6th edition of Friday Night SmackDown. We all know that John Cena will be the Raw representative at King and Queen of the Ring, but who will be the representative for SmackDown? That honor goes to the wannabe Tribal Chief, Solo Sikoa. This is, of course, the second time we will see Solo Sikoa play a major part in this story. If you remember what happened at the Royal Rumble, that was the first. And unfortunately for Solo Sikoa, this goes much the same way as the Royal Rumble did, because shortly after his victory, The Rock makes his triumphant, sort of, return. It's the first time we've seen the Rockster since he came up short in the Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Championship at Wrestlemania. He walks down to the ring and he grabs the microphone. He gives Solo Sikoa a big hug and he says in front of the whole world that he and the whole family could not be more proud of him and everything that he's accomplished since The Rock has been gone. Look at you! You used to be just a right-hand man, an enforcer, and now you are the man. He then goes in and gives Solo Sikoa another big hug, and as he's hugging him, he says, and that's what family does. When one of us wins, we all win. He pulls away and he says, and so, on behalf of the family, I wanted to let you know that I will be taking it from here. That's right. I'll be taking it from here. You see this card right here? That means I am the director of the board. I am the final boss. Do you see this Ulafalo right here? I know it's not an Ulafalo, it's the best I could do, so just go with it. You see this Ulafalo right here? That means I am your tribal chief. No matter which way you want to slice it, that means you do as I say. And I say, you're not facing John Cena at King and Queen of the Ring. I am. If you somehow what the final boss is cooking. Alright, I do feel I owe a little bit of explanation here. The bloodline in this universe has to start shifting with The Rock revealed as the tribal chief before WrestleMania again in this booking. Solo Sikoa is no longer in charge in this or in real life, but since this Rock's final boss character is so domineering, make this a proper cult mentality and just have the leader of the cult, in this case The Rock, take all of the credit for the success of the group. Have him start calling himself the tag champs when the Tongan brothers ultimately win the tag team titles back. Have him become the Intercontinental Champion if Solo Sikoa were to win the Intercontinental Championship or United States Championship or the World Championship, whatever it may be. And then, of course, in this case, have The Rock take Solo Sikoa's opportunity away from him to be the king of the ring. And I'm hoping that this is going to start to drive some tension within the group. And obviously, I'm not here to book that today, but you can go off in all different directions, right? This is going to be part of kind of like the little bonus stuff that we talked about. This is the first little bit of it, so I hope you enjoy it. You can go in many different directions. You can have Jacob Fatu still side with Solo Sikoa and have him go up against The Rock and Solo Sikoa go up against The Rock. You could have the Tongan brothers actually side with The Rock if you wanted to and have it be The Rock and the Tongan brothers versus Solo, Jacob, and one of the myriad of the Samoan dynasty that you already have in the company, whether it's Lance and Hawaii. Maybe you bring in Zilla Fatu or somebody else, whoever it may be, you could do that. Or the way I would look at it is you actually have Jacob Fatu turn his back on Solo Sikoa and have Jacob Fatu go up against Solo and have Jacob and The Rock go up against Solo Sikoa and the Tongan brothers, because let's face it, The Rock and Jacob Fatu are more than man enough to stand up to the three of those boys. But either way, the entire point of it is to drive some tension within the bloodline, and I really desperately think that this story in this universe needs a little bit of a push. But back to your regularly scheduled program, what this ultimately means in the short term for John Cena is at King and Queen of the Ring, it is going to be John Cena versus The Rock, thrice in a lifetime. You heard me. Okay, another quick sidebar here, by the way. I just want to make sure all of us are on the same page. Last year, the winners of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, respectively, got a World Championship match at Summerslam. I am not going to be doing that this time. The realism of that, we can have that argument. That's totally fine, but I'm not going to do it. Instead, it's going to be a championship match of the person's choosing at the next pay-per-view, which will be Money in the Bank. The reason why I'm doing it is twofold. One, it fits my story better. And two, it gives you some flexibility on both the men and the women's sides based on whatever storylines you have going. And I think importantly, it's going to help get those two new women's titles over even more than they are. Right now, Chelsea Green's doing a great job. Lyra Valkyria is doing a pretty good job as well, although some people really don't like her reign, but regardless, that's for a whole different day. So, imagine if Lyra Valkyria is the Women's Intercontinental Champion and Becky Lynch were to return and win Queen of the Ring and challenge Lyra Valkyria for the one of two championships that Becky Lynch has never won. Okay, so we'll fast forward to the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. It is John Cena versus The Rock, of course. It is 25 minutes of absolute cinema, and The Rock actually dominates most of the match. This is not like the other matches that they had where it's just finisher spamming the whole time. John Cena is a much different competitor than he was when they last faced off back in like 2013 or whatever year it was. This version of John Cena simply won't stay down. And no, it's not like it usually is where it's annoying and we hate it. It's more like a pure underdog just will not stay down. The pain and the grimaces on his face are very relatable, and the audience is going to hopefully be able to connect with that in a similar way that they connected with a guy like Daniel Bryan, or if you're an NXT guy, kind of like me, like a Johnny Gargano. Eventually, the Bloodline as a unit will come out to interfere, and John Cena manages to fight all of them off slowly but surely because they are fractured in their attack. While they are united in numbers, they are not united in mentality. They end up becoming fractured in their strategy, and their attacks are not coordinated. And so John Cena eventually AAs Solo Sikoa through the table. He dispatches of Jacob Fatu and the Tongans. He then turns the match around and has Rock on the ropes when Braun Breaker tries to make his presence known, but is stopped by CM Punk coming down the ramp, and CM Punk hits Braun Breaker with a GTS. Cena then uses this momentum eventually to hit The Rock with an avalanche or super AA for the 1-2-3 to win and become the King of the Ring. And The Rock is absolutely furious at the Bloodline for their wild ineffectiveness, and some, at least, of the Bloodline are pissed at The Rock for taking away Solo Sikoa's opportunity and failing. This also does a pretty good job, at least I think so, I wrote it, of leading into the CM Punk versus Braun Breaker match at Clash at the Castle. If you're unfamiliar, a little while ago, just in case you missed it, I mentioned that it would be CM Punk versus Braun Breaker in a street fight to determine the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at Clash at the Castle, which is a couple of weeks after the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. Now, let's skip ahead to that pay-per-view so that we can talk about how that match actually goes down. CM Punk is confronted by John Cena. Obviously, Punk helped Cena at King and Queen of the Ring to become King of the Ring, and so Cena offers his services, or at the very least, his help to his friend CM Punk. But CM Punk refuses to accept it. John Cena would want to do it on his own, and so will Punk. There's no two ways about it, folks. This will be a brutal street fight. Both men are going to wind up covered in blood, similar to the Drew and CM Punk Hell in a Cell match. But in the end, Braun Breaker hits CM Punk with one last spear for the 1, 2, 3, and Braun Breaker becomes the #1 contender for Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship, who, by the way, just for fun, at this same show, retains later on in the night against Sheamus, because in my universe, Clash at the Castle takes place in Dublin, Ireland. I understand that this has no bearing on what's happening in real life. I doubt that this will happen because they are doing Clash in Paris a little later on in the year, so my guess is they won't have 2 Clash pay-per-views. But you know what? Why not have a little fun if I'm going to be taking creative liberties anyway? On the June 23rd edition of Monday Night Raw, John Cena appears for the first time since he became the King of the Ring, other than offering up his services to CM Punk. He announces that since WWE had already made the match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker for the #1 contendership for the World Heavyweight title, he, Cena, did not want to announce what he was going to be doing until that match had concluded out of respect for CM Punk. Because obviously if CM Punk had won the match, he did not want to have to interfere and insert himself into that match at Money in the Bank. But now since Breaker won, he has had a lot of thinking to do. He says even though he is more than tempted, I mean, it is killing him, wanting to just destroy Braun Breaker and take away his dreams and his chances at gold. That's never really been John Cena's style. Unlike Braun, one of the 3 words that John Cena lives by is respect. So instead, John will focus on another championship. He will instead be focusing on the one championship he has never won, the Intercontinental Championship. He will face Drew McIntyre in an Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank. Why? John Cena is on a retirement tour. He does not have a lot of time left. And Cena does not want to leave any stone unturned. And of course, Drew McIntyre has not exactly been a fighting champion. So Cena wants to give people the opportunity to shine each and every week, much like he did with the US Championship. Yes, that is what you think it means. And he definitely doesn't want to hide behind loopholes and attack people from behind every chance he gets. So Drew, your time is up. My time is now, and it's now or never. What Cena means by that, of course, is that Drew McIntyre has, well, not exactly defended the championship a whole lot of times, and he hasn't exactly earned a lot of his victories either. He's only defended the championship twice. The first you already know about. I told you about it earlier on in the video. It ended in CM Punk interfering against Braun Breaker, so Drew had a lot of help in retaining the championship in that one. And once he also retained against Jey Uso, but Drew McIntyre attacked Jey Uso during his entrance before the match, so the entire match was basically a wash from the start. So essentially, to summarize, John Cena is looking to take the Intercontinental Championship from Drew McIntyre, who is a champion who, in Cena's mind, is nothing but a fraud who just attacks people from behind. So of course this segment ends with Drew McIntyre attacking John Cena from behind. Sorry. So the following week of Raw on June 30th offers up a contract signing between John Cena and Drew McIntyre. I'm hoping the one with Gunther will be so successful and so widely approved of within the company that they will want to do it again here with Drew. And here's the difference. While Gunther is not the worst talker in the world, he is nowhere near the caliber of promo as Drew McIntyre. With the talent of not only Drew, but of course of John Cena, one of the greatest, if not the very greatest talkers in the history of the WWE, I am guessing that this segment will become the promo of the year. I'm not even going to dare to try and write the promo between these two, but I am happy to give you guys a few lines that I'm hoping each guy will say to one another in no particular order, but hopefully you guys enjoy. Here we go. Okay, so we've got Drew McIntyre saying, quote, "I'm going to kick the face that runs the place so hard that your own wife won't even recognize you." Cena will, of course, at some point say, "When I was told that I might be fired, I made sure I did everything I could to stick around. And when you found out that you might get fired, you rolled over and quit." Drew will say, "You say over and over and over again that your time is now, or my time is up, or it's now or never. John, the reality is your time has long been up, and it has for sure been up since the second you got here and set your sights on me. You have been standing on death's door, just waiting for the Grim Reaper to show up and put an end to you. Well, I'm here, and at Money in the Bank, I will put you down permanently." Cena will say at some point, everyone in the world knows that Drew McIntyre was fired back in 2014, and unfortunately for Drew, it took him roughly 11 years to realize that he left his balls back in Scotland. And more things such as that, please. Unlike the contract signing with Gunther, this time Drew McIntyre and John Cena get into a brawl. And once again, Drew McIntyre gets the best of Cena, hitting him with another Claymore that blasts John Cena through a table that Drew McIntyre had set up in the corner. It's possible that Drew McIntyre just might be too much for John. And that brings us to Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre defends his Intercontinental Championship against the GOAT, John Cena. And this match, in my mind, should open the show. And yeah, I know there's 2 Money in the Bank matches, and so the women's match might get bumped by one match, but honestly, I don't really think the women would mind going on second. Maybe they would. If they do, then don't. Just have this go on second, I guess. But I don't like it, and it's my booking, so deal with it. And as far as the match goes, I am going to keep this as short and sweet as I possibly can. There's no shenanigans, interferences, special guest referees, or any other craziness. John Cena overcomes the odds, makes Drew McIntyre tap out to the STF, and becomes the new Intercontinental Champion, and he wins that championship for the first time in his career. Cena is then interviewed in the ring by Jackie Redmond, and she asks, "John, what are your plans now that you are the Intercontinental Champion?" Cena's response, "I'm going to bring back the John Cena Invitational. Or, if you like, the Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. And I'm bringing it back this Monday on Raw." And I know everybody has a lot of questions, but I'm going to let you know all the rest of the details as to what this is going to entail in just 2 days. So, stay tuned, and have a great night, everybody. John Cena then, of course, exits the ring to a loud ovation, as the fans could not be happier to see John Cena accomplish the one thing he had left to do in the WWE. Well, sort of. Just a few quick additional details, by the way, just to tie everything together. Braun Breaker loses his championship match against Gunther on this same night, clean as a whistle. But I will say, Gunther really struggled to beat Braun Breaker. And I know that that might not sound significant right now, but I can assure you it will later on. Braun Breaker also attacks Gunther after the match and spears him through the barricade in anger and frustration. And also at Money in the Bank, in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, Finn Balor climbs the ladder, retrieves the briefcase, and becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. That brings us to the Raw after Money in the Bank, and John Cena arrives as the new Intercontinental Champion. He says that he is here to prove that winning this championship, this Intercontinental Championship, is the biggest honor of his entire career. Now, you could choose to believe that or not, but that's what he says. He's also there to show that no matter how old he is or how much time he has left, he is going to show that he can still hang with the very best in the world, and that he is worthy to hold the championship that the world calls the Workhorse title. So how will he be doing that? For as long as he holds this championship, John Cena will be doing the Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge, or if you'd like, the John Cena Invitational, on every single televised show that WWE has to offer. That means every Raw, every SmackDown, every NXT. And to show how serious he is, this week, every single match will not just be against one mystery opponent, but 3 mystery opponents. every match will be a fatal 4-way match for the rest of the week, assuming John Cena can still hang on. So, folks, if you want some, come get some! Now, before we get into the actual matches and the logistics of everything, I do have to address a few things, because I'm sure there's going to be people that have a problem with this or have questions. Okay, number one, this concept is going to allow a lot of the dream matches that we all want to see to take place without the need of any kind of story to be shoehorned in here. They can just happen, all right? There are plenty of people that I'm sure a lot of you at home, myself included, want to see John Cena wrestle one more time or just once at all before he ends up retiring. Now, the opinions are going to differ on who those people are going to be. Sure, absolutely. I prioritize certain people over others because of course I had to. I only have a limited amount of time here. But this is going to allow me to do that without shoehorning in some kind of story or wasting a month or 2 months or 3 months just to build up to a match that really didn't really need much story. It's just that we want to see them wrestle. And the other 3 matches John Cena will have on Raw will be Logan Paul, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. Now we'll move on to NXT, and for NXT, the first match that John Cena will have is a fatal 4-way match between himself, Wes Lee, Javon Evans, and Shawn Spears. The next week, Ethan Page is shown backstage looking like he's getting ready to answer John Cena's open challenge. Cena is already waiting in the ring when the camera cuts to backstage showing Page. Suddenly, as Page is walking forward, a giant hand presses up against his chest. That same hand then shoves Page into a metal door that is directly next to him, injuring Ethan Page at least slightly. He's writhing on the ground going, and then John Cena knows his fate is about to change. Because instead of Ethan Page, out comes the ruler of NXT and the NXT champion, Oba Femi. As Oba Femi is doing his walk, his slow walk down to the ring, Ethan Page then comes back out and attacks Oba Femi from behind, not wanting Femi to steal what he believes is his opportunity. The two brawl outside the ring, and Ava eventually comes out and says, you know what? Neither of you deserve this opportunity. This is ridiculous. You're making anarchy of this show. Neither of you deserve an opportunity. Somebody else get out here and challenge John. But John Cena takes the mic and says no. He doesn't just want one of them. He wants both of them in a triple threat match right now. And so Cena, hey buddy, gets his wish, and he has a triple threat match against the two of them. Now, the reason I did this is for one reason, so Oba Femi doesn't have to get pinned. Sorry, Ethan. I don't know what to tell you. The next week, say his name, and he appears, Joe Hendry, John Cena, for the Intercontinental Championship. And what a match that would be. And finally, on the last NXT before SummerSlam, John Cena, who at this point in the timeline is a little bit more beat up and a little bit slower, we'll talk about that a little bit later, comes down to the ring and says it doesn't matter. He wants the very best that NXT has to offer. He's already beaten the NXT champion, kind of. He's already beaten Ethan Page, definitely. He's already beaten Joe Hendry, who wasn't even a part of NXT, and he's beaten 3 guys that have a bright future. But he still thinks NXT has something left to offer, something left in the tank that nobody could possibly know is going to happen. So John Cena says, bring out whoever that is. And the very best that NXT has to offer is Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano returns to NXT one last time to challenge John Cena for the Intercontinental Championship, and finally gets another, I guess. So maybe not finally, but you guys get the point. He gets another homecoming in NXT. He gets one last, final, definitive goodbye to the NXT crowd. And finally, we will move on to SmackDown. So, of course, we'll start with that fatal 4-way in the first week. So, the 3 participants, other than Cena, of course, will be Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and looking to become double champ, Shinsuke Nakamura. And the following 3 SmackDowns will just be straight up one-on-one matches for John. And those participants will be Grayson Waller, Montez Ford, and on the SmackDown before SummerSlam, Randy Orton. Sorry, guys, I figured I would change into something a bit more thematic here. My Cody Rhodes t-shirt, and I wonder if that's a little bit of foreshadowing. Okay, listen, I get it. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are listening to this right now that are a bit confused, or maybe they're just sitting here thinking there's no way that John Cena would be able to pull all of this off. But I do want to go over a couple of things and make a couple of points. Number one, obviously, right? Obviously, this means that John Cena wins all of those matches. But quite frankly, it really doesn't matter who wins and who loses these matches. It just matters that those matches happen, especially the ones with Orton and Punk. Because again, to me anyway, I don't think a final match between John Cena and Randy Orton needs this big year-long or 3-month-long story just to get to it. I honestly think if John Cena and Randy Orton just showed up on a Monday night or on a Friday night or even on a Wednesday night in NXT and just said, "Wanna go?" that would be enough. Like, that doesn't really need a build, and neither doesn't necessarily the CM Punk match either. Now, I'm sure that in real life, there's going to be a much bigger build than what I gave it here, but it doesn't necessarily need it. Number two, these matches don't all need to be 25 to 30-minute spot fests where, John Cena's running around like a chicken with his head cut off the whole time. No, they can be 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of good, solid action. Cena spends most of the match getting beat up. He eventually comes back at the end and gets the win. And number three, the brief little bits of story that I gave you is obviously not the entirety of it. John Cena is not going to be used to this sort of schedule, so these matches are going to take more and more of a toll on Cena as the weeks go along. And that's the ultimate point of the story, is that John Cena is trying to prove that he can still hang with the very best in the world on a week-to-week and on a day-to-day basis, even though his body is telling him that he can't. His brain, his heart, and his soul are going to keep telling him that he can, and so he perseveres and he continues on. This is going to then lead to John Cena becoming slower and slower in his entrances, in his matches. He's definitely going to start looking a little bit more sore. The cuts and the bruises are going to start to build up, and we are going to be able, as an audience, to tell that this is not the same John Cena, and that I'm not pretending that John Cena is the Super Cena that he used to be. But he is still John Cena, and so he will still prevail, at least for a period of time. And I want to focus in on one match in particular. The one with Montez Ford is really the one that takes a toll on him. Ford is a ridiculous athlete, and he always has been, and John Cena hasn't really needed to showcase his athleticism or prepare for Montez's kind of athleticism maybe ever, other than somebody like, I would say, Kofi. But I actually think Montez has a little bit more bounce than Kofi does, a little bit more raw athleticism than Kofi does, and Cena barely sneaks out of that match with an AA where he hits it and he hooks Montez's legs so hard that he can't kick out. But regardless, as beat up as John Cena is, and as beat up as he's going to become, he needs to keep on going. He needs to keep soldiering on as we roll into SummerSlam. Because at SummerSlam, John Cena is going to have a PLE-worthy John Cena Invitational. Cena comes out in the middle of the show at SummerSlam, and you can tell he is beat to shreds. His run to the ring takes significantly longer than it usually does. He really milks that Stu greeting, and it makes sense considering, if you do the math, he has had 13 matches in 31 days in this booking, and the match that he's about to have will be his 14th in 32 days. The schedule has been brutal, and John Cena is showing it. So, of course, as customary, John Cena cuts his promo to open the Open Challenge, and he says, if you want some, come get some at the conclusion as always. And right after he says that, the arena lights go out, and all you hear is guttural screams. Not necessarily of pain, but more of effort, as if you walk into a gym and you see a guy lifting very, very heavy weights, like those old Drew McIntyre vignettes when he was about to fight Brock Lesnar or something. Those kinds of screams. The screams of men who are pushing themselves past limits that they didn't know they had. Cena, of course, starts to look confused. Now, he doesn't know what's happening. There's nothing on the Titantron. The arena lights are out. Is there somebody that needs help? Is somebody taking a microphone? Has it just picked up a fan screaming in the crowd? What is going on? Maybe somebody's being attacked backstage. John Cena has no idea what's happening, but he starts to figure it out when a shadowy figure appears on the Titantron, cloaked in red. That shadowy figure slowly starts to step out of the red light to where you can see his feet and the beginnings of the bottom of a robe. The figure starts walking forward, slowly revealing more and more of his body as he walks. You can now see his ankles, then his shins, and then to his knees. And the only thing you hear throughout the arena is the clicks of his boots hitting the ground. Suddenly, a voice speaks, and it says, "John Cena, you have beaten monsters, beasts, vipers, cult leaders, and savages. But not even you can slay the Mad Dragon." Cena's face then turns to pure determination as the Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov, marches his way down to the ring. The red we saw on the Titantron has now enveloped the entire arena. On the Jumbotron screen that you see in every entranceway in WWE now, there is a dragon's head that is projected throughout the whole entire Jumbotron. Suddenly, two holes appear out of it, and that obviously represents the nostrils of the dragon as fire breathes out of it, followed by smoke. Ilya Dragunov raises his head and smoke billows out of his mouth like he did in NXT. And as those trumpets sound, we all wonder, why is WWE going through all of this mess just to showcase Ilya Dragunov? And it's because they didn't do so the first time. They could have, they chose not to. And unfortunately, Ilya Dragunov tore his ACL back in October, and this is his return. So, it could be a blessing in disguise, because you had almost a year to reinterpret Dragunov, to repackage Dragunov, to re-showcase Dragunov. And WWE is going to take full advantage, and oh boy, will they take full advantage. Unlike most of John Cena's matches, if not all of John Cena's matches during this small period of time, these 4 weeks of Intercontinental Championship Open Challenges, these 4 weeks of the John Cena Invitational, John Cena is on top for most of the match. It is Ilya Dragunov that struggles to put any kind of offense together on John Cena, because John Cena is bigger and stronger than Ilya Dragunov, so he has the power advantage throughout the contest. But unfortunately for John Cena, he's never quite seen anything like he has seen in Ilya Dragunov. The more punishment Ilya Dragunov takes, the more he seems to love it, the stronger he seems to get. Actually, Ilya Dragunov keeps kicking and kneeing John in the head immediately after all of these devastating moves. The blockbuster that John Cena has, Dragunov gets right back up and gets back on top. The fisherman suplex that John Cena did throughout most of his career. Yes, Dragunov, of course, sells it, but immediately upon John Cena trying to get him back up, punches and kicks and knees are thrown. Every single thing that John Cena throws at Dragunov, he will not stay down. It gets to the point where Cena goes for a 5-knuckle shuffle, and he hits it, and instead of Dragunov staggering and stumbling, he just takes it and stands back up, turns around slowly, and screams at Cena. "Come on! Is that all you got?" Cena, of course, is shocked and stands there, doesn't know what to do, looks away for a second, turns back, and is hit with a Torpedo Moscow. 1, 2, and Cena kicks out. Dragunov is nothing like anyone John Cena has ever faced before. In fact, he's more like Cena than Cena may be now. Cena winds up hitting Dragunov with AAs over and over and over and over and over again, and Dragunov will not stay down. He continues to kick out. Cena locks in the STF, and Dragunov eventually gets to the ropes. It seems nothing can put Dragunov away. Nothing. But nothing Dragunov can do will put Cena away, but that's something we are all used to as an audience. It's not something that people are used to when they see something like that happening to John. Cena then ultimately hits Dragunov with a Super AA, and in fact, this will be the second time that Cena hits Dragunov with a Super AA, and we are deep into the match. And John Cena hits a big, deep breath, or when I say hits, I mean he takes a big, deep breath, because my goodness, has he gone through it in this match. Dragunov will not stay down, but he knows that this is it. And Dragunov kicks out at 1. Dragunov fires himself up as an apoplectic crowd who has no idea what to do with this. Cheers and roars in approval and shock. Dragunov picks himself up off the mat. He charges at Cena, going for another Torpedo Moscow, and misses. But then Cena turns back around and gets kicked in the head as hard as Dragunov has ever kicked anybody in the world. Then Dragunov hits a couple of German suplexes and then hits Cena with an H-bomb. 1, 2, and a kick out by Cena. Once again, neither man will stay down. Dragunov looks to go for another Torpedo Moscow as he leaps in the air, drop toe holds. Cena once again locks in the STF, and it's at this point that we all are begging Dragunov and Cena to end this thing, because it has to end. But Dragunov drags himself to the rope, and as he is fading into the dark, he gets one finger on the bottom rope. And Cena breaks, and he just backs up. He backs up, and he turns around with his back facing Dragunov. He goes all the way to the opposite corner of the ring as he just stares into the crowd in complete disbelief. He starts talking to a random child, maybe one of the Make-A-Wish kids that he brings to most of these shows. He starts speaking to him. He says, "I don't know what to do. I can't put him away. I don't know what to do." Cena puts his head in his hands. Dragunov rises to his feet, as he's known to do, and he hits John Cena in the back of the neck with another Torpedo Moscow. Cena crumbles forward, then lays back down in perfect position. Dragunov climbs the ropes and hits Cena with a Super H-bomb. 1, 2, 3. Ilya Dragunov is your new Intercontinental Champion. He has dethroned John Cena at SummerSlam. Okay, another timeout, of course, is necessary. For those of you who look at this match and believe that it is unrealistic, I urge you to do two things, because I believe these two things not only justify my position, but they actually give it some precedent. The two matches that I want you to go look at are Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther in NXT UK. Okay, I don't remember the exact date, but it's going to be sometime in October of 2020. So this is obviously quite a few years ago. It's around 5 years ago, but one of the best matches of all time, in my opinion. If I had to make a top 10 list of my favorite matches of all time, it might make the top 5. I mean, it really is amazing. It definitely would make the top 10. I would be pretty shocked if it didn't make the top 5. So go watch that match. That's one resource that I pulled from. And the other resource is John Cena versus Roman Reigns at No Mercy 2017, okay? Like I said, these two matches not only justify my position, but they give them precedence. This match, what I just described, is what Ilya Dragunov does, okay? He never stops moving forward. And we didn't get to see that the first time he got called up on Raw. We saw glimpses, but we didn't get the full thing. Listen, this is a beat-up, tired, aging, just destroyed John Cena. And Cena has finally met a man who, on his best day, has as much, if not more, willpower than John Cena has. And at this point in John Cena's career, at this point in the story, when Cena is beat to hell, when John Cena has been through 14 matches in 32 days, if you include the one that he is in with Dragunov. Cena's willpower is starting to fade, and Dragunov's willpower is, as he says, unbesiegbar, unbreakable. If you go watch the match with John Cena and Roman Reigns, he's already had a match where he's been dumbfounded at the fact that somebody has kicked out of 1AA, 2AA, 3AA, 4, 5, Super AA, everything that Cena could throw at him, multiple STFs, and Roman Reigns continued to fight. And we saw that dumbfounded look on Cena's face, and ultimately Roman Reigns prevailed. So I'm not saying this match is realistic to happen in real life, but what I am saying is the premise of what I said is plausible. And so for my booking, that's what I did. So John Cena loses, and Ilya Dragunov picks Cena up as he holds the Intercontinental Championship. The two shake hands and hug in the ring, and John Cena raises the hand of the new Intercontinental Champion. He goes to do what he normally does in these situations, which is, of course, leave the ring to the other man because he deserves it. But Ilya Dragunov pulls him back in and demands that John Cena take the ring because this is his last SummerSlam. Ilya Dragunov has years ahead of him, and Dragunov wants to ensure that Cena gets his last moment. And of course, because for a whole month, John Cena was the warrior that he used to be. Because his soul and his mind told him he could. Even when his body oftentimes wouldn't allow it, Cena pursued. And Cena continued on. So, Dragunov is the one who exits the ring, and John Cena gets a standing ovation. Once again, much like when he won the Intercontinental Championship, Jackie Redmond enters the ring, sort of interrupting the standing ovation, but Jackie will forgive you, and she says, John, I have just one question for you. What's next for John Cena? And Cena says, well, what's next for me is... what's next for me is laying down until I can feel my legs. And maybe some pizza. Pizza sounds good. Pizza sounds good. But I assume you don't mean that. I assume you mean, yeah. Okay. So after that, after I take some time to heal, because, oh, boy howdy do I feel like crap. After I take some time to heal, I'll be back stronger than ever. But first, Ilya, you deserve this tonight, young man. Congratulations. You have more than earned the right to carry that championship with all of your will, and I won't stand in your way. I've made the point I needed to make. I can go toe-to-toe with the very best. I'm ready. When I come back, and when it comes to number 17, Jackie, it is now or never. And we don't see John Cena until September. Now, before we move on to September, there are a couple of stories that need to be tied in. Because John Cena said he's going after number 17, I think it's only right that we check in on what's happening with the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther, of course, still holds the belt. There is a match going on at SummerSlam between Gunther and Logan Paul. There are a multitude of reasons why I wanted to do this match. Mostly, it's because I want to see Logan Paul die a little bit. I'd really like to see Gunther chop his stupid little social media brat chest until it bleeds and he starts crying like a little baby. But the secondary and arguably most important reason why I wanted to do this match in particular at this time is because I actually want to see Gunther die a little bit. But obviously not die in the way that Logan Paul will be dying in this match, but die psychologically. I mentioned a little bit earlier on that Gunther is really starting to struggle and that it would be important later. Well, now is later. He struggled mightily against Braun Breaker, as I mentioned, and he's been battling in his head for months that at WrestleMania, he was not able to beat John Cena on his own. And in this match against Logan Paul, who he just deems as a complete abomination in terms of being a wrestler and wrestling and everything sacred that Gunther stands for, Logan Paul is the complete you know, a complete opposite of everything that Gunther wants and everything that Gunther stands for. He is the just complete Joker to Gunther's Batman in this instance. So Gunther is struggling to put away this abomination. After all these things have happened, you could start to see Gunther slowly unravel. Deep into this match, Logan Paul hits a slingshot clothesline onto Gunther, and then he slowly, gingerly climbs up the top rope and hits a frog splash, but his ribcage, his chest, and other parts of him have taken so much punishment throughout the match, he's unable to capitalize on the moment with a cover. He simply lays there, writhing in pain. Just then, that man's music hits, he walks down to the ring, and he cashes in his Money in the Bank contract, making this a triple threat match. He then immediately turns around, hits a shotgun drop kick to Gunther, who falls out of the ring, turns around, hits a sling blade onto Logan Paul, climbs up to the top rope, coup de grace to Paul, 1, 2, 3. Finn Balor has pinned Logan Paul to claim Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship, and the entire landscape of the WWE has just changed. Oh, and as for Gunther in this instance, he is completely distraught, destroyed. He couldn't beat Cena clean at WrestleMania. He barely beat Breakker. He couldn't beat Logan Paul, and he's lost his title without ever getting pinned. We're going to start to see a completely different side of Gunther that you and I have never seen before. Since we just wrapped up the SummerSlam portion of this booking, I wanted to just take this time to give you guys a quick reminder that nothing you are seeing on screen in real life has any bearing on this story. So what that also means is that the premium live event schedule that you guys have seen announced also has no bearing on this schedule. Basically what Dan and I, when we originally started this project, had to do was to just go with what we saw last year and then make some things up and fill in some gaps as we go with our own creativity. So that's what I went ahead and did. So instead of Clash in Paris at the end of August being the next pay-per-view, or PLE, excuse me, like it is in real life, in my booking, it's actually going to be Clash of Champions live from the Tokyo Dome in Japan on September the 6th and September the 7th. So just brace yourself. Let's get back with the actual story, but since John Cena is missing, I do feel I want to tell you the story of what's going to happen with the World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like I need to, because obviously John Cena said at the end of SummerSlam, or at least at the end of his match at SummerSlam, that he would be going after title number 17. So I feel like it's only right that you guys are up to date for when John Cena does come back with what's happening with that title. And of course, we can't talk about the championship without talking about Gunther. Gunther is having a very tough time indeed, and he, of course, just lost his World Heavyweight Championship to Finn Balor, who cashed in Money in the Bank and took it from Gunther. So we begin this story on the edition of Monday Night Raw right after SummerSlam, and it is Finn Balor's title celebration. He barely even gets a word out when Gunther, of course, interrupts him. Now, Gunther's promos are normally stoic and calm and confident, but with everything that's happened in Gunther's life over the last few months and the mental turmoil that he is going through, this promo is anything but. He essentially just comes down to the ring and screams at Finn Balor and demands a rematch for his World Heavyweight Championship right then and there. And while Gunther does, of course, have a point, Balor didn't actually pin him, of course, to take the title, Balor calls out the clear desperation in Gunther's voice. And, of course, he's correct. Balor says, "What's the matter, big man? Why you got your panties all up in a bunch? Dude, just relax. You will get your rematch at Clash of Champions. Okay? Does that make you happy?" And of course, while Gunther is mildly happy about hearing that, he wonders what the catch is, and Balor says there isn't one. It's a one-on-one match, no stipulations, no time limits, no special guest referees, just Finn Balor versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship in Tokyo. It's the match everyone wants to see, right? So why would Balor ruin that for anyone? And Balor's tone is so calm and relaxed. It's nothing like what you and I, or anybody else for that matter, have heard on television over the last really couple of years, probably. And Balor simply just goes to leave the ring, calm as can be, and Gunther, of course, tries to attack him. But Balor then pulls the rope down and sends the ring general flying over the top rope and out of the ring completely. And Gunther then hesitates to go back into the ring and decides it isn't worth it. He turns and heads to the back. The August 11th edition of Monday Night Raw opens with Finn Balor trying to cut the promo that was so rudely interrupted the week before. And Balor talks about how much winning the World Heavyweight Championship truly means to him, and how it's going to mean even more that he's going to have his first title defense in Japan. Basically, where Balor made as big of a career as you could possibly make outside of the WWE for himself. And so the fact that he not only is world champion after all this time, all the struggle that he's been through, but the fact that he now gets to go to a place where he considers home to defend that championship, man, what an honor that's going to be. He talks about Gunther and how powerful of an opponent he is, but he also talks about how Gunther is starting to crack, and that unbreakable armor that Gunther puts up and that unbreakable aura, as the kids say nowadays, is not as unbreakable as everyone seemed to think. And there is no one better at exploiting people's weaknesses and tearing off cracks in the armor of men than the Prince. He is not afraid of Gunther, and he's looking forward to proving that at Clash of Champions. And once again, everything that Finn Balor is saying not only has merit, but it's delivered with so much calm, stoicism, and good graces that it's almost eerie. This is nothing like the Finn Balor we've seen for the last several years, screaming about how the Judgment Day isn't doing anything for him, and how he wants opportunities and he feels like he's being screwed out of them. And the amount of losing we've seen Finn Balor do over the last handful of years, it's weird that he has this much confidence and calm about it. And of course, the polar opposite of that right now is Gunther. He is a complete hothead, and so he just decides to try and attack Finn Balor from behind again, and he actually succeeds. And there is no Ludwig Kaiser with him. There are no weapons. There's not even really seemingly an ulterior motive. It's just Gunther attacking Finn Balor from behind. Something that we don't really see all that often. Gunther, of course, gets the upper hand, lays out Finn Balor with a few of his most dangerous moves, clotheslines, splashes, power bombs, all that good stuff, and he holds the title over his head. And as Gunther walks up the ramp, he looks up at the Titantron and sees Finn Balor is smiling and leaning against the ropes, actually starting to faintly laugh, almost taunting Gunther to continue the punishment. And Gunther is shocked to see this, of course, and it doesn't seem that Balor's confidence has wavered at all after this attack. It's almost as if Gunther is playing right into his hands. At least that's how Balor seems to be acting. And later on in the night, as Gunther is leaving the arena, Kaiser catches up with him and asks why he didn't let Kaiser know what he was doing. Maybe Kaiser could have gone out there and helped, although, of course, the ring general never needed the help, but maybe could have used it? And Gunther said, quite frankly, even he didn't know that he was going to do what he did until he was already out there. And to me, this really is starting to show that Gunther is slipping, and that tactician that we have all grown with over the last handful of years and seen is starting to become a little bit haphazard. That leads us to the August 18th edition of Monday Night Raw, and Finn Balor has a match against the aforementioned Ludwig Kaiser, looking to get a little bit of revenge on the ring general for his attack last week. And Balor does indeed pick up the win clean as a whistle. And immediately after the bell rings, Gunther and Kaiser jump Finn Balor again. And this time they powerbomb him through the announce table on the outside. Gunther then screams that Balor has absolutely no chance, and he needs to learn that he can't beat Gunther. Not now, and not ever. But much like last week, as Gunther and now, of course, Kaiser in tow walk away and go up the ramp, Gunther looks up at the Titantron, and to his horror, Balor is not only smiling and leaning, he's now full-on hysterically laughing, mixing in a cough or two because he really did get put through the ringer. Gunther turns around and looks to where Finn Balor would be, and his eyes are now fixated on Finn Balor while he stands at the ramp. And Gunther's face is no longer full of shock, it is full of horror. But Kaiser grabs him by his shoulders, gets a little bit of control of the ring general, and ushers him to the back while he tries to cope with what he just saw. And I would like you all to cope with what you just saw. Kaiser getting control of Gunther. Tell me when's the last time you've seen that. 2 weeks out from Clash of Champions, we are at the August 25th edition of Monday Night Raw, and unfortunately still no sign of John Cena. And this time it is Gunther who decides to come out and cut a promo. He says that Finn Balor is quite frankly an idiot for accepting this match, and he believes that there is no way that Finn Balor can beat him one-on-one in a fair fight. How could he possibly think he has a chance against the Ring General? He is stronger, bigger, faster, and smarter than Finn Balor will ever be. Gunther says, and Money in the Bank, you took me by surprise, and you beat someone else. So, congrats, you took my championship from me, but this time there will be no other competitor for you to beat. There will be no 20-minute contest for you before you finally attack me, and there will be no surprises. This time I am ready for you, and I am ready for anything you and your tiny, insignificant body could ever throw at me. After this, Gunther says that Balor smiling and laughing at him is disrespectful. Now, he already called Balor an idiot and dumb and stupid and everything previously, so he's not going to harp on that. But it is blatant disrespect. I mean, who laughs at getting the hell beat out of them 2 weeks in a row? Apparently you, because you're an idiot. But, you know what? You want to play that game, Finn? Fine. Come down to the ring, and I will beat you so bad you won't have enough air left in your lungs to laugh anymore. Now, listen, I know that, we've seen a little bit of a different side to Gunther in real life with this whole Jay thing, but when's the last time you've seen Gunther just call someone out for a fight right then and there? Because I can't really remember the last time I've seen that. Balor comes out with his hands behind his back. Well, one hand, anyway. Like me, he has to hold a microphone, and he walks slowly and calmly down to the ring as he has the last few weeks. He says, "Hey, Gunther, dude, you gotta relax, man. I mean, do you need a hug or something? Kaiser, do you not hug him often enough? Why are you so uptight?" Okay, you know what? You're right, though. You've beaten the hell out of me over the last couple of weeks, and good on you. Those were good, real high quality attacks. But Gunther, I'm fighting you at Clash of Champions, not tonight. So that's why I'm coming out here, my hand behind my back, because I just want to talk. Not fight, just talk. But Gunther is, of course, having none of that and immediately goes to attack Finn Balor, who then just moves out of the way. Just does a good old rope-a-dope, and Gunther just keeps on swinging, and Balor just keeps on dodging him, making fun of him, saying, "Hey, where are you going, big man? What's got you all rustled up?" And at this time, he has already thrown the microphone down and has actually now got both hands behind his back, further taunting the ring general. Gunther just repeatedly swings and swings at Balor until he finally just throws his whole body at Finn and misses completely, hits his head on the top turnbuckle, and Balor chooses this moment to try and hit the final blow. Balor then goes for his old finisher, the 1916, in the middle of the ring, but he is hit from behind with a chair by Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther then grabs a second chair himself, and the two men then absolutely brutalize Finn Balor for a uncomfortable amount of time. I would venture to guess somewhere in the 30 to 40 range of chair shots. Honestly, I originally had 50 in my script, but I thought that might be a little too harsh. Balor is basically unconscious at this point, his body completely giving out from the amount of pain that he's in, and Gunther once again holds the championship up above his head, and him and Kaiser go to clear the ring. But as they walk up the ramp, Gunther makes the mistake of once again looking at the Titantron, despite Kaiser telling him otherwise, saying, please don't. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible idea. It's just going to get in your head more. But Gunther doesn't listen. And to his horror, Balor is biting the bottom rope and snarling, with a little bit of spit, saliva, maybe foam coming out of his mouth. Balor then starts hysterically laughing, somehow while still biting the bottom rope and snarling, and actually invites Gunther to come back, keep on hitting him. He wants more chair shots, and Gunther, to everybody's shock, actually goes to do that out of pure frustration, but Kaiser grabs his arm and says that it isn't worth it, and that Balor is just trying to get into Gunther's head. And to the amazement of everyone, Gunther actually listens, and he heads to the back. Looks like the ring general is now taking orders from his lieutenant. Later on that show, right as we are about to close, we finally get an update on our friend John Cena. Triple H is shown backstage, and he says that John Cena will be appearing for the first time since SummerSlam next week live on Monday Night Raw. And it will be a Raw that no one will ever forget. Because, John, I know something you don't know. That brings us to the September the 1st edition of Monday Night Raw. It's the Raw right before Clash of Champions. And Gunther is absolutely tearing up backstage looking for Balor when he stumbles into Adam Pearce's office, and when I say stumble, I mean kick down the door, and demands that Pearce tell him where Finn Balor is. That little ingrate. If his goal is for Gunther to end his career, then Gunther is game. But Pearce says that's not going to happen, and he actually agrees with Gunther. Gunther may end up killing Finn Balor if he gets his hands on him, and may end his career. Gunther, of course, takes this as a huge compliment, thinking that Pearce is talking about how much of a stallion, how much of a stud the ring general is, but Pearce quickly clarifies, no, it has absolutely nothing to do with Gunther and everything to do with Balor. Balor is clearly hell-bent on showing his physical toughness, and doing so may get him seriously injured and maybe even put on the shelf for a very, very long time. So Adam Pearce orders that Finn Balor and Gunther, and by proxy Ludwig Kaiser, not touch each other at all before Clash of Champions. If there is any sort of physical altercation between any of the three parties, then Gunther will lose his opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship, and the match will be called off. If Balor, of course, initiates, then Balor will be stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship, effective immediately. Just then, Finn Balor actually walks into the office to the shock of, well, everyone. Number one, because Gunther and Kaiser are in there, and he probably, at least, just heard that he was not supposed to be really anywhere near them or touch them or get into a physical altercation with them, whatever it may be. And number two, because he took like 795 chair shots just a week ago. Balor walks in eating an orange, like just the most relaxed thing you could possibly be doing, and says, "What's up, guys? What are we talking about?" Pearce just briefly gives the abridged version of what he just said to Gunther, and Balor says, "Oh, man, that sucks. I was hoping I can get my payback tonight." Oh well, Clash of Champions it is, I guess. Hey, Gunther, man, you were not kidding when you were talking about your strength. Man, can you swing a chair? Those sucked. Ugh, I can still feel it in my L8. Anyway. Oh, and you too, Jesse McCartney. You've got a beautiful swing. Ha! Get it? Because beautiful soul, but swing because chair, right? Right? Everyone in the room is just so puzzled and confused, and Gunther is absolutely seething at how calm Finn Balor is. And at this point, how nonchalant Balor is. It doesn't even feel like Balor is taking this seriously. He has been beaten within an inch of his life 3 weeks in a row, and the beatings have only gotten worse, and not only laughed it all off, but asked for more. And now, he's acting like he doesn't even give a care in the world. These Balor mind games clearly are starting to work, because Gunther says, you know what? You know what? Act however you want. Be as calm and as cocky as you want, but this is a mismatch that you are not on the right side of. I am prepared to do whatever it takes to rip that title back from you and claim what is rightfully mine. And the best part, I'll do it in front of all your friends in Japan. And Balor just says, prepared. That's a poor choice of words. You may think you're prepared, but you aren't. Gunther, you have no idea what it takes to beat me. And at Clash of Champions in Tokyo, you're going to find out exactly what I'm capable of. Balor then walks away out of the office while everyone just stares in amazement at the tone shift that Balor just took. So nonchalant to so intense, yet so calm. He leaves Gunther, Kaiser, and Pierce to try and figure out what could possibly be going through the mind of Finn Balor. And towards the conclusion of Monday Night Raw, the very last segment sees our good friend John Cena's music hit for the first time since SummerSlam. He comes out to the ring and he says, well, Triple H, you certainly got my attention last week, so why don't you come on down and tell me that thing you say I don't know. Triple H then comes out, gives John Cena a hug, and Triple H says, so, Hunter, what's the skinny? Triple H says, you know, before we get started with anything, I have to say thank you. Thank you for everything you did with the John Cena Invitational. It was truly an inspiration for all of us to see you give that much of yourself one more time. So, thank you, and I hope the crowd appreciates it as much as I do. And the crowd, of course, gives a big ovation for John. Triple H then says, all right, I know you're not here for platitudes, so let's get on to business, all right? John, why do you think you're here? It's not a rhetorical question, actually. I actually want to know what you think you're doing here. Go ahead. Tell me why you think I brought you here. Cena says, well, I think there's only one reason you would have brought me here the way you did. Number 17. You said you know something that I don't know, so what you know that I know, that you know that I know, that you know that I don't know, is at Clash of Champions, it's going to be a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the crowd will then erupt with elation, hoping for the prospect to come true. Triple H then says, John, no one wants you to win number 17 more than me. And the guy who you're breaking the record for is kind of important to me, you know. But anyways, I have a lot of pull around here, and I have the ability to make any match at any time. And I also have the ability to add anyone to any match at any time. But the title matches at Clash of Champions are set in stone. So, no, you will not be competing for the World Heavyweight Championship at Clash of Champions. Cue the crowd booing. In fact, you won't be fighting for any championship at Clash of Champions, but you will be competing at Clash of Champions. Because, alright, let's get super corny here. John, you have been the very definition of a champion. Ever since you stepped foot in this company, you have been the very ideal of what it means to be a champion here in WWE. And you have earned the right to represent this company at Clash of Champions. So that is exactly what you're... Now, before I get into that thing that I said you don't know that I know, I'm going to tell you something that you do know. John, you have never once wrestled in Japan, have you? Your whole career, 23 years you have been here, John, and yet, somehow every time we've been to Japan, you have missed the boat. Or, more accurately, the plane. Well, on September the 7th, Night 2 of Clash of Champions, you will get your chance to finally have a match in Japan. And you know, it's funny. For years, WWE has existed in this bubble, this extended universe of our own that we have curated and created into this juggernaut that sits before you today. The juggernaut that millions of people watch all around the world each and every week, in large part to see you, John, and the many other great superstars that we have to offer. And throughout all that time, we have done our very best to, for the most part, keep to ourselves. It's only recently that we have actually started to reach out to others that have never had the opportunity to do what we do on the kind of stage that we can offer. And, you know, to your credit, people find out that John Cena may be coming to Japan, not even is, but may be coming to Japan, with all those rumors swirling around the dirt sheets and on the internet. And suddenly people that you never thought you'd hear from suddenly find your phone number and they give you a call. This is the John Cena Retirement Tour. And so for John Cena's first and only match in Japan, we couldn't just have any normal match. And so what I know that you don't know is that Clash of Champions, you, John Cena, will be facing this man. Triple H, of course, points, as I did, to the Titantron, and it reveals a backstage area of sorts, but certainly not the backstage area of Raw. That backstage area has been shown multiple times throughout the evening, and this area that's being shown now looks absolutely nothing like any of those shots that we'd seen previously. And as the camera pans to the left, it starts to slowly unveil a hooded figure with his back turned to the camera. They're wearing a black sweater or sweatshirt, hoodie, whatever you want to call it. And so basically it's just an unremarkable figure that's in the camera at this moment. And that figure then starts to slowly turn around, and it now shows the side of their head. It could be from that side, it could be from that side, whatever you guys want to imagine. That's what it looks like. So they slowly turn to the side, and on the side of their hoodie, right here over their face, it says "Go Ace" across the side of his hood. And the fans who know will start to go wild. And John Cena now has his face turned from curiosity to determination, because John Cena knows now what Triple H knew. And that's at Clash of Champions. John Cena will be going one-on-one with Hiroshi Tanahashi, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and arguably the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time, and maybe even the greatest wrestler of all time. Okay, now obviously in real life this has absolutely zero chance of happening because, well, one, this is not taking place in Japan in real life, and number two, because New Japan Pro Wrestling has a exclusive deal or some kind of deal with AEW. And so WWE may be very hesitant to work with New Japan. And of course, New Japan may be very, very hesitant to work in any capacity with the WWE, as not to jeopardize their relationship with AEW. But I will say, at this point, what is AEW even giving New Japan? I'm not sure it's giving them as much as New Japan is giving AEW, but I digress. I did see The Rock wearing a New Japan t-shirt, so that means we're working with New Japan now, right? Right? No, of course it doesn't, but I will say, here's why this match may make sense. Of course, it doesn't make sense in real life, but here's why I'm going to make it make sense. Of course, a couple of wrestlers have wrestled in Japan for WWE, Nakamura, Omos, just to name a couple, and Hiroshi Tanahashi is actually going to be on a retirement tour of his own at this time. He claimed that he will be retiring sometime in early 2026. So this seems like the best opportunity we may ever get to have the greatest wrestler of the West and the greatest wrestler of the East fight each other to see who the greatest of all time really is. And Tanahashi says as much, because once he is revealed to be the man that John Cena will be facing, Tanahashi says, "John Cena, I will see you at Clash of Champions, and we will see who the best and the greatest of all time really is." So this now brings us to Clash of Champions. The main event of Night 1 on September the 6th is Gunther versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther enters the arena first to a thunderous amount of boos. He stands in the ring and he demands that Balor come to the ring and face him. But Balor doesn't come out immediately. At this point, he's played enough mind games. He might as well just keep on going. He is going to make Gunther wait. And Gunther, being someone who is slowly losing his ever-loving mind, well, starts to slowly lose his ever-loving mind the more and more he has to wait. He starts screaming, "Balor better come out right now," and to not keep him waiting, when suddenly the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, they are a moody and dark shade of crimson red. And for the first time in nearly 3 years, the demon has entered the building. The Japanese crowd cheers, roars with love and vitriol as one of the most beloved characters in WWE history graces them with his presence. And Gunther now is starting to realize, as do the rest of us, why Balor had been so calm and confident throughout the last few weeks. And importantly, why he had taken so much punishment and why he just kept coming. Because Gunther was unlocking the demon in Finn Balor's mind. Gunther realizes why Balor was laughing during all his attacks, why the more punishment he received, the stronger he seems to get, and now he realizes why Finn Balor said that Gunther using the word prepared was a poor choice of words, because not even Gunther, matter of fact, no one could have prepared for this. And the match reflects that, as Gunther struggles throughout the entire match to gain any sort of momentum. He struggles to stack that high-volume offense that we know of him, like he usually would be able to do in matches like this, because Balor either counters or simply absorbs all of that offense until, we get closer to the end. His chops are not effective, again, until we get closer to the end of the match, and Balor bounces up after Gunther hits him with those big lariats that he is known for, and Balor has a counter for the powerbomb that Gunther always uses all the way throughout the match. Eventually, after a 22-minute bout, Gunther puts Balor into a sleeper, trying to just get the demon to quit, but Balor starts to climb up the turnbuckle, similar to what he did at TakeOver Dallas against Samoa Joe, flips Gunther onto his back, hits him with a stomp, hits a coup de grace, then picks Gunther up and hits a 1916, which was his finisher back when he was in Japan. 1, 2, 3, and the demon has pinned the Ring General clean as a whistle. And after the match, he gets a fantastic reception from the crowd that used to see him put body paint on for his big matches long before the demon was ever created. And Gunther looks completely ticked off, furious that Balor not only defeated him in the match, but mentally, psychologically, and strategically as well. And the main event of night 2 is, of course, John Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. And I will say, I am nowhere near qualified enough to book this match, but I'm going to at least give you some bits and pieces so that you kind of know what I'm looking for. Given the age of both of these men, I would say 15 minutes should be more than enough. If you want to go 18, maybe 20, so be it. But quite frankly, I would be okay if this match even went 12 minutes. Because again, given the age of both of these men and just the fact of who they are, you don't really need this to be some kind of long barn burner match. What I don't want this match to be is about finish spamming. You know, kind of similar to what we saw with Cena and The Rock a handful of years ago. I just don't want this to be a match where all you see is a bunch of finishers for 10 or 15 minutes, and then eventually one of them goes down. I don't want that to be the thing. But I would like each man to kick out of the other's finisher once. Just once for each of them. It doesn't need to be 5 or 6 times. Just once each. So John Cena will kick out of the frog splash, and I believe it's called the high fly and flow. I don't speak Japanese, so if somebody wants to correct me in the comments, please do. Otherwise, that's what I'm going to go with. And of course, Tanahashi will kick out of what I will call the triple AA. So that's when Cena hits an AA, kind of grabs the arm, floats over, picks the person back up, hits another AA, does it a third time, hits another AA, and Tanahashi will kick out of that. I would also like Tanahashi to utterly refuse to tap out to the STF. He's in front of his home country, and so I just don't want him to visibly tap out. I don't think that that's a good idea, and I honestly don't think Tanahashi would agree to do that even if that was on the table. So for me, it just won't be on the table. But he's going to get locked in at 3 separate times. He's going to refuse to tap out each time. And the last time is when he gets to the ropes. The other 2 times, Tanahashi actually has a counter to get out of it. You guys can make up whatever counter you feel like he should do. Maybe he does that Brock Lesnar thing where he just smashes John Cena's head against the mat. Whatever it is you guys want, figure it out. Either way, the last time, he's going to barely get to the ropes. And so obviously, this is a lot of Tanahashi fighting from underneath, but of course, a lot of John Cena fighting from underneath as well, because this is 2 ultimate baby faces, at least in this booking, going at it just for the sake of fanfare. In the end, John Cena ultimately defeats the hometown hero with a super AA, and then he gives Tanahashi the ring to get a beautiful ovation in front of his home country. So this brings us to the September the 8th edition of Monday Night Raw, and that will be the Raw after Clash of Champions. And before I continue, I do want to let you guys know that the next premium live event in my booking will take place on October the 4th in Tampa, Florida, and it will be WWE Unforgiven. This will be the first time WWE has held that pay-per-view since 2008. Okay, so now on to the episode, and Finn Balor comes out to celebrate his victory when he is interrupted, once again, by Gunther. Gunther clearly just won't let this go. He claims that Balor cheated, and that it was not even remotely fair for him to come out as the demon without giving anyone, not even the people, the higher-ups in the company, any kind of notice. And Finn says that Gunther told the whole world over and over and over again that there's no way that Finn Balor can beat me in a one-on-one fight. Blah, 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 blah. And so the fact that Gunther wasn't prepared for the demon, that's on you, Gunther. It's not on me. And as Gunther and Balor are going back and forth, Seth Rollins hits the ring, and he says he thinks it's time that he and Finn's rivalry get renewed. And it's time that Seth Rollins takes back the World Heavyweight Championship that belongs to him. And he doesn't even care if he has to go through that guy pointing at Gunther to do it. And after a little bit more back and forth between those 3 men, John Cena hits the ring, and he just blows right past Gunther, not even paying any attention to him, blows right past Rollins, ignoring him completely, and gets right in the face of the World Heavyweight Champion Finn Balor. And he says, "Here's the deal. I don't have time to wait around. It's now or never, Finn. Put up or shut up time. What do you say? You, me, Unforgiven for that." Pointing to the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther interrupts again and says, "Excuse me, we were all in the middle of a conversation here. You can't just come out here and say whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you—" "Shut up, Gunther! The grown-ups are talking here!" Finn, of course, interjects. "No, I'm not going to continue with the accent. Just wanted to do it there for some emphasis." emphasis! Sorry, I don't know what happened to me there. So Finn continues and says, I don't think you know what you're getting yourself into, John. And Cena responds with, what do you think, some fool in body paint and a stupid headdress scares me after everything I've been through? Go ahead, bring your demon. I'll whoop you, your demon, Jesus' stunt double from The Chosen, and Bowser's Austrian cousin, all at the same damn time! And this sends Gunther into a blind rage. Apparently, he doesn't like being compared to well-known and well-beloved Mario characters that are sometimes played by Jack Black. He then attacks both Cena and Balor from behind. Rollins then comes in to neutralize Gunther and sends him flying out of the ring, leaving Rollins standing tall at the end of the segment. The following week, the match is made. John Cena versus Gunther versus Seth freaking Rollins to determine the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. But unfortunately, not everything is as it seems. Gunther enters the ring first, followed by Rollins, and when Cena's music hits and he is supposed to come out, he never does, and the camera cuts to him being loaded into an ambulance covered in blood backstage. As Rollins is watching this on the Titantron, Ludwig Kaiser hits Seth Rollins in the back with a pipe. It seems pretty clear that Kaiser is the one that attacked John Cena in the back. Gunther and Kaiser then work together to absolutely destroy Seth Rollins before the bell for the match even rings, and it crescendos with Gunther powerbombing Seth Rollins through the announce table. They then throw Rollins back into the ring, and Gunther tries to convince the referee to start the match, while the referee tries to check on Seth, looking to cancel the match. But Seth absolutely refuses to quit and slowly gets to his feet. The referee then begrudgingly rings the bell, and Gunther hits his T-Rex dropkick into the corner, powerbomb, and splash. 1, 2, 3. And in about 30 seconds, Gunther has become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at Unforgiven. John Cena and Seth Rollins have been screwed. And I know, I keep sounding like a broken record, but I have to keep on saying it because it makes sense for the story, and it's important to the story. Have you ever seen Gunther use underhanded tactics like that to win a match? I haven't. Later on in the week, Triple H puts out a short video on WWE's social media pages and YouTube channel saying that he absolutely hates what he saw on Monday. He feels that he does not do his job when he promises something and is unable to deliver. And the fans were promised a triple threat match for the ages, with the greatest of all time, the greatest of a generation, and arguably the greatest pure champion ever. And what instead the fans got was a bloodbath that they didn't sign up for. And he feels that John Cena and Seth Rollins did not get a fair shake. So, in response to that, in 2 weeks' time, a match will take place. This is, of course, assuming they are both cleared at this point. John Cena and Seth Rollins will go one-on-one to be added to the World Heavyweight Championship match at Unforgiven, thereby making that match a triple threat match. The next week, on September 22nd's edition of Raw, Gunther opens the show by storming out to the ring and calling out Triple H, saying he has the gall to make the match at Unforgiven a triple threat match. You better get out here right now and explain yourself, because I will not take no for an answer. Adding insult to injury, Triple H does not come out and does not seem to care what Gunther has to say. So, Gunther says he's going to grab a chair and he's going to sit right in the middle of the ring until Triple H comes out. And so, Triple H, if you want to have Monday Night Raw, you better come out here and face me. So, Gunther does as he says. He goes outside the ring, he grabs a metal chair, he opens it up in the ring, and he sits in it, facing the hard cam with his leg crossed and his arms crossed, just sitting there with a microphone in one hand, just staring down the barrel of the hard cam. About 30 to 45 seconds go by, and the show then cuts to commercial because, well, if nothing's going to happen, then they're not going to broadcast anything. We then come back from commercial, and Gunther is still shown sitting in the middle of the ring. Suddenly, Shayna Baszler's music hits. She walks down to the ring, and immediately after, Zelina Vega's music hits because the two of them have a match scheduled against one another on this edition of Raw. But unfortunately for them, when the bell rings, Gunther is still just sitting in the middle of the ring, staring down the hard cam, refusing to leave. So again, just to make sure we're clear here, there is a match that's about to be going on between two fantastic female competitors, and Gunther is not looking at anyone, not talking to anyone, just staring down the barrel of the hard cam, kind of like I'm doing right now, with his arms folded and his legs crossed, refusing to leave. And it doesn't matter what the competitors say, it doesn't matter what the referee says, he utterly refuses to even acknowledge anyone's existence. Eventually, Zelina Vega just gets absolutely sick of this, and she just slaps Gunther as hard as she possibly can. And that, of course, wakes Gunther up. He recoils a little bit, then stands up and grabs Zelina Vega by the throat and walks her over to the opposite corner and starts berating her. He then raises his hand to chop her in the chest, which, no offense to Zelina, but that might kill her if that happened. But luckily, we don't ever get to find out because Penta's music hits and he comes down to the ring with another chair and chases Gunther off and to the back. Vega's and Baszler's match then goes off without a hitch. And by the way, anybody who's complaining that, oh, you're going to have violence against a woman, first of all, he didn't really do a whole lot. Second of all, Zelina Vega is one tough cookie. She will be just fine. So Adam Pearce makes the match official. The main event for later on in the evening will be Penta versus Gunther. During the match, Gunther gets a little bit cocky and allows Vega to distract him just long enough for Penta to hit the Penta driver 1, 2, 3, and he defeats the Ring Canada. Gunther, seemingly not to care about the fact that he just lost a perfectly winnable match, grabs the microphone again and once again demands that Triple H come out and explains himself. And this time, Triple H obliges. And before Gunther can even get a word in, Triple H says the reason that he made that match a triple threat match is because, quite frankly, Gunther doesn't deserve to face Finn again. Gunther, by his own hand, made that triple threat match last week a complete waste of everyone's time. And when you're in the main event, you're supposed to act like it. Gunther used to act like he was in the main event, but now he just acts like a petulant child throwing a temper tantrum. So, Gunther wants to prove that he deserves to be champion again, then he has to win a triple threat match at Unforgiven by any means necessary. Triple H then leaves, the show goes off the air, with Gunther feeling angry and embarrassed. The next week's Raw on September 29th is the Raw before Unforgiven. Both Seth Rollins and John Cena are indeed cleared to compete. So, the match will go ahead as scheduled as the main event of Raw. Seth Rollins, John Cena to be added to the match at Unforgiven. Both men cut an impassioned promo at some point throughout the evening. The first one that comes up is John Cena's. He says that this opportunity means more to me than it ever could to Seth, because this could be my very last one. I have a ton of respect for Seth, and I've been to war with him before, but Seth will have other chances after tonight. But for me, it's now or never. Seth also, of course, cuts a promo later on, and he says, you know, I'm getting real sick of this. It's now or never. You always say, my time is now, or it's now or never. My time is now, all right? Not yours. Your time was 10 years ago, and guess what, John? I beat you back then, too, didn't I? I respect the hell out of you, John. And in many ways, I wish you nothing but the best, and I wish you weren't the one that was standing in my way, but you are. And so, I have no choice but to run straight through you and get back my World Heavyweight Championship. The main event starts, and both men give everything they have and refuse to yield. But unfortunately, 15 minutes or so into this contest, Gunther and Kaiser hit the ring while both men are down. They both stand over each of their prone bodies and both kick one of them while they are down at the exact same time, ensuring that they timed it as properly as they could. And of course, the referee rings the bell and names the match a double disqualification. Cena and Rollins are prone and left to basically be at the mercy of Gunther and Kaiser when Finn Balor comes in and chases both men off with a chair as the show closes. But, of course, Gunther and Kaiser don't care, and they are smiling and laughing as they walk back up the ramp because the announcer says, "The result of this match is a double disqualification, and since neither John Cena nor Seth Rollins won this match, neither man has qualified for the World Heavyweight Championship match at Unforgiven." The crowd, of course, will serenade Gunther and Kaiser with boos as they laugh, thinking they have finally won. But just then, Adam Pearce is heard yelling, "You know what? Enough! Gunther, I am so sick of your BS ruining my main events every single week unless you're the one that's in it. Since you want to just keep on playing games, here's your prize. Congrats! A fatal four-way match at Unforgiven. Finn Balor versus Gunther versus Seth freaking Rollins versus John Cena. And that's official." So we arrive at WWE Unforgiven, and this time opening the show is the fatal four-way match for the World Heavyweight Championship between John Cena, Gunther, Seth Rollins, and the Demon, Finn Balor. Every one of these great competitors is going to get a good amount of offense in this one, and everyone in this match is going to get a legitimate near fall at some point in the match. Cena does the triple AA onto the Demon, and the Demon kicks out. The Demon hits a coup de grace onto Cena, but Cena kicks out. Rollins hits the stomp on Gunther, and the ring general refuses to give in. And finally, Gunther gets his hands on John Cena. Finally! And hits him with back-to-back powerbombs, and Cena kicks out anyway. Unlike at Night of Champions, Gunther is able to lock the sleeper onto the Demon, and he gets full control of Finn Balor's body. Gunther then gets on top of Balor, crushing him, but the Demon refuses to yield. He then reaches out and grabs a chair that was right there, just kind of waiting for him. He pulls it into his chest, flattens it out, and just kind of waits for a moment where he can get just a little bit of his breath left. Little bit so that he can hit Gunther in the head with it and get him off. But just then, Seth Rollins re-enters the ring and hits a stomp onto both Gunther and the Demon, which plants the Demon's head directly into the chair and stuns Gunther as well. And because the Demon's head bounced off the chair, it knocks even him out cold. Both men are down, but before Seth can take advantage of the opportunity, Cena re-enters the ring and hits an AA onto Rollins that drives him out of the ring. He then turns, drags Gunther to the middle of the ring, and locks in the STF and wrenches back with every ounce of strength he's got. Rollins is out of the ring. Balor is out cold. And after an agonizingly long 35 seconds of having the STF locked in and the crowd getting more and more antsy, Gunther taps out to what I can only assume will be the largest pop in WWE history. That's right, folks. He's done it. John Cena has won World Championship number 17. As the fireworks go off, we see the Demon seething in the corner of the barricade. He now knows the sting of losing his championship despite never being beaten for it. Seth Rollins in another corner of the arena, while disappointed that he didn't win and slightly angry at how it went down, he's also beaming with pride because somewhere deep down inside, he was kind of rooting for John. And so he's happy to see that John Cena finally accomplished his goal. And then there's Gunther. No longer angry or desperate or cocky. He is simply defeated. He was desperate this whole time, not for revenge or not even to win, but for answers. Could he beat John Cena on his own? Was WrestleMania just a fluke? Would he have still won without any help? Could he beat the Demon in a fair fight? Tonight, at Unforgiven? In his mind, he got his answer. And that answer was unequivocally no. No, he couldn't. Instead, the ring general has tapped out for only the second time in his WWE career. Cena stands up on the announce table as Michael Cole sings his praises and probably cries. And as he is holding up the title, suddenly Cena is speared through the Spanish announce table from off of the normal announce table by a man in a black hood. The man quickly removes his hood to reveal Braun Breaker. He has returned from his 90-day suspension, but for you mathematicians at home, it's only been 88 days. So that means that Braun Breaker has illegally returned from his suspension, has breached his contract with WWE just to attack the man that he can't stand more than any other. And because of that, he knows his time is limited. He beats John Cena within an inch of his life, punching and punching and punching and punching him over and over and over again until finally security surrounds him. Eventually, the cops then arrive and get a hold of him and put him in handcuffs. The handcuffs are placed in front of his body, though, not the traditional behind the back. And the cops will come to regret that here in a moment. Cena then tries his best to crawl away from the demolished Spanish announce table, away from Breaker, and he goes over to that famous corner of the barricade out by the hard cam. When Breaker sees this, he realizes what he needs to do. And even though he's got his hands handcuffed in front of him, he sprints all the way around the ring, around the announce tables, all the way to the other side, and he spears John Cena through the barricade with his hands still in handcuffs. Satisfied with his work, Braun Breaker gives himself up to those same police officers who just a moment ago were diving out of the way, hoping to avoid being hit by a freight train. And now, Adam Pearce and Triple H, as well as CM Punk, are all storming out to the ring to confront Braun Breaker. Mostly, I will say, Triple H has to just restrain Punk from trying to murder Braun Breaker, and Adam Pearce berates Breaker for what he's done. But regardless, the damage has been done, and Breaker is led away and hauled off, presumably, to jail. From complete euphoria to complete catastrophe in a matter of just a few minutes. We have now reached the final 3-month stretch of this John Cena booking. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. We are in the home stretch, so buckle up because the end is coming. This brings us to the October 6th edition of Monday Night Raw, 2 days after Unforgiven and 2 days after John Cena won number 17. A little ways into the show, Rey Mysterio and this man, Dragon Lee, just wrapped up defeating the Creed brothers in tag team action, and as they are celebrating, John Cena's music hits, and he walks down to the ring to a raucous crowd on Monday Night Raw. He grabs the microphone and he says the following: Hey, Ray, hey, I'm sorry, man. I really hate to interrupt you guys here. I just got some business I got to take care of. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate it if I could have the... Wait a minute. You, come here. And he points to Dragon Lee. He then grabs Dragon Lee by the shoulder, puts his arm around him, and says, "You need to understand something, young man. Whatever you do, never stop listening to that guy right over there." Pointing to Rey Mysterio. "Do you understand?" And of course, Dragon Lee nods. Cena says, He is the real greatest of all time, and I mean that. Okay? By the way, forgive me, I'm a little all over the place. Where are my manners? I'm John. What's your name? Your first name is Dragon? Dude, that's awesome, dude. All my mom gave me was John. Yo, no time. Listen, it's really great to meet you, man. Like I said, I'd really appreciate it if I could have the ring. I got some business I got to take care of. Please. And again, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you. I love you, Ray. Appreciate you. He just goes on and on and on with this kind of crazy energy because, of course, John has a lot on his mind. Ray and Dragon Lee, who apparently is John Cena's new best friend because he thinks it's the coolest name in the world, leave the ring to the new World Heavyweight Champion. And before the new champion can get any more words out, the crowd serenades him with chants of "You deserve it," and they will presumably last several minutes. Okay. I don't have a lot of time to beat around the bush at this point, so I have two things to say. Mr. Balor, you will get your rematch for this championship at Crown Jewel. Okay? You didn't get beat last night. I get how much that sucks. I've been there. And I'm a man of my word. At Crown Jewel, you will get your one-on-one rematch. Cool? Oh, and yeah, by the way, the next Premium Live event in my booking is Crown Jewel. It's similar, if not identical, to what it was in 2024 when they had Crown Jewel in early November as well. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the story. Cena continues, second and most importantly, Braun Breaker, get your punk ass out here so I can rip you in half! And after a short pause, it is not Braun Breaker who comes out, but rather Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion from SmackDown, has decided to surprise us all by appearing on Monday Night Raw unannounced and by interrupting John Cena. Rhodes says, John, I am so sorry to interrupt, but man, watching you win that title last night, Cody, I love you, man, and it's great to see you, but like I said, I don't have a lot of time. So why don't you just tell me what you're doing here, okay? So I can move on to creating a new hole in Braun Breaker's forehead. Okay. Jeez, John, sorry. New hole in... Okay. Let's cut to the chase then. While you've been over here on Raw fighting for that number 17, congrats again, by the way, I've been turning away challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge on Friday nights. And you haven't come to visit me since your John Cena Invitational IC Open Challenge days, and man, that sucks. I've been waiting for you to come over to my neck of the woods because I wanted to ask you a question. And that question is, do you want to make some history with me? And by the way, better than that, John, do you want to make history with me tonight? Look, I know, I get it. You want to get your hands on Braun Breaker. I want you to get your hands on Braun Breaker. The whole damn world wants you to get your hands on Braun Breaker, but you gotta put this together, John. He breached his suspension on Saturday. That means he wasn't even technically under contract when he attacked you at Unforgiven. So he may not be here tonight. He may not be here ever again. Or at the very least, not for a really, really long time. So the chances of him being back there just waiting to answer your challenge is pretty slim. So how about it? Main event, Monday Night Raw, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, World Heavyweight Champion versus WWE Champion right here tonight. Crowd, hopefully at this point, will begin to cheer at the prospect of that. And Cody continues by saying, oh, and don't worry, I know you're beat up, so I'll go easy on you. Cena retorts by saying, you drive a hard bargain, Mr. Rhodes, but know this. Tonight is not the night you want to mess with me. I'll slap that stupid tattoo right off your neck. You're on, Cody says. I wouldn't want it any other way. See you later, John. Puts the mic down, leaves the ring. So, the main event is set, and man, what a lucky ducky crowd this place is. I don't know where this Raw is going to be, but boy, howdy, are they going to get themselves a main event. Wrestlemania main event worthy even, nod, nod, wink, wink. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Champion versus champion. And as promised, the match goes off. But unfortunately, it is ruined after a little while by Finn Balor. He attacks Cody and gets John Cena disqualified before then turning his attention to John Cena. Rhodes eventually does get up and chases off Finn Balor, and the two babyfaces stand tall at the end of the show. A match is then made for the following SmackDown, so one of the few Friday Night SmackDown appearances for our friend John, and it is Finn Balor versus the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. And John Cena also appears in a backstage segment with Cody before the match. Cody tells John that he can stay in the back. Listen, he can handle Balor alone. He's fought Balor many times throughout the years. He's more than happy to do it again. And John Cena thanks Cody for a really fun match on Monday. You know, it was really nice to not think about revenge for a few minutes and just go out there and have some fun again. So, thank you, Cody. The moment is then interrupted by the Viper, Randy Orton. We haven't seen Randy Orton doing a whole lot in this booking, but he is here now, and it's finally nice to see them reunite in a non-physical capacity like it was during the IC Open Challenge. He gives John Cena a big hug, and he also gives Cody a big hug. Yes, the two are still friends after all this time in my booking. Cody then leaves to go out for his match, and that leaves Randy and Cena to have a brief interaction in which Randy says, man, that Breaker kid, he's something else. You still got enough joint lubrication to move that fast there, bud? Cena goes, are you calling me old? Oh, yeah, I'm calling you old, man. Boy, are you old. So am I. But no, seriously, man, though, John, if you ever need anything at all, you can always just call. And John says, oh, well, you know, thanks, Randy. I appreciate that. I know out of everybody in this locker room, other than maybe Phil, you're the one that's always going to be there for me. They hug it out, and Cena says, well, duty calls, because, let's face it, John would definitely say that, and he leaves. Rhodes then picks up the victory against Balor later on in the night. The next couple of weeks go by with the standard build-up to a Finn Balor versus John Cena feud that you would expect. A couple of key notes, though, that I do want to go over. On the October 20th edition of Monday Night Raw, John Cena and CM Punk, who he obviously mentioned in that promo on Friday, team up to defeat Finn Balor and Bronson Reed, who inserted himself into the situation by volunteering to be Finn's partner, hoping to get an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship down the road. And it is confirmed that at Crown Jewel, it will be the Demon, Finn Balor, versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship in a last man standing match. And at that show, John Cena grabs a hold of the Demon on top of the announce table and AAs him through the Spanish announce table. He then gets off the announce table he was standing on, and somehow with all of the strength that even an old John Cena could muster, he flips the announce table on top of the Demon, and the Demon is unable to answer the count of 10, and so Finn Balor loses, and John Cena retains the World Heavyweight Championship. And yes, unfortunately, that means the Demon would lose 2 times in a row. And as much as I love the Demon, if it were up to me, this would be the last time we see the Demon in WWE. I think at this point it is a trope that they will never 100% get right, but I wanted to give it one last run with some dignity, rather than getting pinned in a match that a lot of people feel he should not have been pinned in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. He should get a victory over the Ring General, and yes, he loses the other 2 matches he's in, but notice how he didn't get pinned in either one. He was not involved in the decision at Unforgiven, and he lost the last man standing match, which I think is a little bit better, a little bit easier to stomach than getting pinned clean. So that's the way I'm interpreting it, but please, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Should I not have used the Demon gimmick at all? Should I have kept him around longer? Should I have had him win more? Should I have not had him lose at all? Should I have had him lose more? Whatever the case may be, I want to know what you all think. So, Cena retains the championship, but once again, Braun Breaker makes his presence known, this time by hitting Cena in the back with a chair. again, much like at WrestleMania. This time, security and police are much quicker to respond, as is CM Punk, who is the first on the scene to try and get his hands on Braun Breaker while he is being restrained. And once again, Breaker is led off in handcuffs, and we don't know what his employment situation is at this point. We are now at the November 3rd edition of Monday Night Raw, and it is the Raw after Crown Jewel, in which we saw Braun Breaker destroy John Cena again. And the World Heavyweight Champion opens the show. His promo starts in much the same way it did a few weeks ago when he tried to call out Braun Breaker, but instead was interrupted by Cody Rhodes. But instead of calling out Braun Breaker, this time he calls Adam Pearce and Triple H, both to the ring, and of course, they do oblige his request out of respect. Cena demands an explanation on what Braun Breaker's employment situation is, where he is right now, and what they are going to be doing about his multiple attacks on Cena. And the two of them clarify that his suspension is still active, and Breaker was suspended indefinitely following his first attack. So yes, the 90-day suspension may have been up a few days later, but essentially the suspension just kept going and it was indefinite. So there was no final decision made on Breaker when he attacked the first time. So that meant that the second time he was still suspended. Therefore, he was still technically not an employee of the WWE when Breaker attacked Cena the second time at Crown Jewel. So what does this mean? That means that Braun Breaker is actually in the back, but he's not an employee. He is actually finalizing, along with his lawyers, the terms of his termination from the company. It's not his choice, but it's what needs to be done after he broke the law multiple times. Cena asks, "Why would you do such a stupid thing? I don't care what he's done to me, employee or no employee, badass or no badass, dog or no dog, I don't care. It's 2025, he can be whatever he wants, but I don't want him fired. And not only do I not want him fired, I want him reinstated right now." Adam Pearce tells Cena that that is a terrible idea, and he says that Breaker broke the law multiple times, as he said earlier. Not WWE rules, not TKO rules, literal state and federal law by attacking John Cena when he's not an employee. And he needs to be punished for the crimes he's committed, and most likely, he's just lucky that Cena's not pressing charges and that WWE's not pressing charges and that he's not spending a significant amount of time behind bars. Because if it was up to Pearce, that's what would be happening. Cena's response is, "Adam, he broke the law? I am the law! Do I look broken to you, Adam? I want Braun Breaker reinstated. You said he's here? I want him in a match tonight. Make it official." Triple H says, "Fine. Fine. He'll get it done. But John, you better know what the heck you're doing." Ladies and gentlemen, as the active CCO, Chief Creative Officer of the WWE, I hereby make it official. Braun Breaker has been reinstated from his suspension and is now an active WWE employee. Cena says, "Wait. You said he's in the back? Did you just leave him all alone back there in your office, Adam?" "Hell no, what am I, an idiot? There's about 150 security guards and armed police officers back there standing right outside his locker. He has absolutely no chance of..." Ah, crap. Pierce looks up on the Titantron, and to his horror, it shows that backstage, right outside of his office, there are hundreds of armed police officers and some security guards that are just strewn about all over the ground, many covered in blood, and many looking like they have either been seriously injured or knocked out completely. And there's a lot of doctors back there trying to help as many people as they possibly can, but a lot of them, again, have been very seriously injured and will probably need some medical attention that the WWE doctors simply cannot provide. The camera then cuts back to the ring as Braun Breaker's music hits, and he walks slowly out to the ramp through a massive chorus of boos. Cena is heard off mic yelling to get the ref right now. Pierce just throws his hands up, feeling like he had completely lost control of the situation. But it is official. Braun Breaker, John Cena, right now. Breaker then charges down to the ring and slides in as John Cena, honorable as always, waits politely for the referee to get there before trying to absolutely destroy Braun Breaker. And right as the ref slides in and is about to ring the bell, Finn Balor's music hits again, and he walks down to the ring. Breaker, strangely, does not seem to want to take advantage of the fact that Cena is now distracted. Finn walks down to the ramp and has a mic in his hand, and he says that he and Cena's business is not through. He said that Cena taught him something on Saturday, and it's that no matter how hard he tries and no matter what he tries to tell himself, he can't stay at the top of this industry alone. He thought he could as long as he had the demon, but not even the demon is strong enough to stay on the top of the mountain. So, from now on, as far as I'm concerned, I'll never be alone again. Balor then gets into the ring, and Breaker then gets ready to attack. And it's clear to Cena that these two have planned this from the get-go. Don't know how they managed to do that, but they did. Maybe John Cena's honorable nature has finally come back to bite him. The two men then begin to attack Cena when CM Punk would come down to the ring to try and even the odds and save Cena. And for a while, he does very well before CM Punk is attacked from behind by Big Bronson Reed, who has not forgotten what CM Punk has done to him in the past. And the three men then absolutely demolish CM Punk and John Cena. And at the end of the segment, the bad guys stand tall once again. And they don't just stand tall either. They destroyed CM Punk. They placed a chair over his chest, and Braun Breaker would hit CM Punk with a spear with the chair. They then laid him out, and Finn Balor hit him with a coup de grace, still with the chair on his chest. And while Breaker and Finn now hold CM Punk down with the chair still on his chest, Bronson Reed would hit a tsunami. And so CM Punk's chest and ribs are probably absolutely destroyed. He may be out for quite a while, and unfortunately for John, it seems that Braun Breaker has found himself some friends. The next week on Raw, John Cena goes into Adam Pearce's office and demands that Balor and Breaker face him and CM Punk in a tag team match that night. But Adam Pearce refuses, saying that Punk is not medically cleared to compete after the attack from last week. Cena says, fine, he'll just do a handicap match, because honestly, he doesn't care anything to get his hands on Breaker and Balor. But Pearce again says no. And the presence of Bronson Reed would essentially mean that Cena is a sitting duck, and even Pearce isn't sure if John Cena would be able to survive that. However, Pearce does give John Cena another option. He says if he can find a different tag partner for tonight, he will give him the match. So later on, Balor and Breaker head to the ring, and John Cena's music hits after that. He then points to the ramp. I hear voices in my head. They counsel me, they understand. They talk to me. 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 It's Randy Orton. So Randy Orton is John Cena's partner for the evening, but unfortunately for our heroes, it goes about as well as last week did. Bronson Reed once again gets involved, ruins the match, and destroys Randy Orton, throws him outside the ring, and the three men then go to focus on a prone John Cena when Drew McIntyre's music hits and he marches down to the ring. He then gets in Braun Breaker's face, basically saying that the three men need to show some respect, trying to get them to back off. The three men surround McIntyre, and it looks like they are going to attack, but just then, McIntyre throws Finn Balor out of the way, and he hits a Claymore onto John Cena. It was all a ruse. McIntyre is not there to help Cena and Orton at all. The four men lay out Cena and Orton with relative ease as the show closes. 2 weeks before Survivor Series, we will have the biggest Grayson Waller effect in history. By the way, yes, there is a reason why I'm keeping all these guys on screen. Grayson Waller asked for that Waller effect with Cena back in 2023 at Money in the Bank, and now he's got it. Well, Not in Australia, of course, but I'm sure Grayson will get over it. And they talk about all manner of different kinds of things, such as that Money in the Bank promo where John Cena laid Waller out, and how Waller lost to Cena in the John Cena Invitational earlier in the year, and a spattering of smaller topics, but they mainly focus on Braun Breaker and his horde of bad guys that he is assembling with the clear mission to eliminate John Cena. Waller says he's not even sure if they want to take the championship from him, but he knows that they want to destroy him. Waller also says that while Cena still does obviously have some gas left in that old tank of his, he knows that Cena just can't withstand that kind of assault and deal with that kind of threat alone anymore. And Cena says, listen, Breaker is just a mercenary. And he's not even a good one, since he's not even getting paid to attack me. He just talks a big game and attacks me from behind, or gets one of his buddies to do his dirty work for him. It's the same thing I've dealt with my entire career. He's no different than anyone else I've ever faced. And just as he's saying this, Braun Breaker's music hits, and himself, Finn Balor, Bronson Reed, and Drew McIntyre slowly walk down to the ring. Waller just leaves the ring. Just, will be seeing ya, don't want to be here, and quite frankly, seeing those four men, I don't blame him. He wants nothing to do with this attack, so Cena is left in the ring alone as the four men go on each side of the ring and surround him. But just as they are about to attack, the Viper slithers right past Reed and into the ring, standing back to back with Cena to help him stare down the threat of Braun Breaker and his group of angry men. The four men then charge forward, and while Orton and Cena do hold their own for a little while, unfortunately, the two men are eventually overwhelmed by the numbers game. Orton and Cena are getting absolutely stomped out when CM Punk makes his return from his brief injury hiatus and comes back with a steel chair to try to even the odds. And even though it's technically 4-on-1 since Orton and Cena are down, the four men that are attacking just leave the ring upon seeing CM Punk with a chair. Not sure if they are scared or if this was a tactical retreat, but either way, Punk doesn't care. He goes over to Orton and Cena to try and check on them, and he's over by the far ropes checking on one of the men when suddenly he is chopped in the back of the neck by Gunther. And hey, no, you can't. Wait. Hang on, that's much better. We haven't seen Gunther since he tapped out to John Cena at Unforgiven. He attacks Punk with a vengeance, and the rest of the four men then circle back and continue to focus their attack on Cena and Orton. Gunther grabs Punk and places him over the turnbuckle and just chops his chest over and over and over and over again until his chest starts to bleed. He then power bombs Punk and leaves him laying again, while the other four men trade finishers on John Cena and Randy Orton. Once again, the bad guys stand tall, and as you can see on my screen, the numbers just keep getting worse for John Cena and company. And this brings us to November 24th. It is the Monday Night Raw right before Survivor Series. So, here's how the show goes down. Braun Breaker and his team of monsters, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, Finn Balor, and Gunther come down to the ring, and for the first time since coming back from his very lengthy suspension, Braun Breaker speaks. He says that he brought these gentlemen together because they have all lost something to John Cena, and because they are the 5 most dangerous men in the industry. And yes, while alone they are formidable, together they are unstoppable. And our sole purpose? Eliminate John Cena and anyone else who stands in our way. And if we happen to pick up some gold along the way, well, you know, that's just icing on the proverbial cake, if you will. But I am a reasonable man, John, and I'm going to give you one opportunity at an alternative proposition that me and the boys have spent a long time coming up with. So, you come down to the ring right now, alone, or you'll face dire consequences. Cena obliges, and he comes out without any backup. Breaker says, look, don't worry, John. We are not here to fight tonight. I know we just said a whole lot of bad stuff, but I promise tonight we are just here to talk. And I hope as a man, you can trust me. So, here goes. John, you are outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. In short, you are hopelessly outmatched against the 5 of us. Refuse our demands, and we will end your career right here, right now where you stand, and not lose a wink of sleep about it. So the way we see it, you have 2 choices. The easy way or the hard way. The easy way, you relinquish your World Heavyweight Championship right now. You leave it in the ring at my feet and you retire. And you never come back. You leave and you are never to be seen again. And at Survivor Series, the 5 of us will compete for the vacant title. And at that point, may the best man win, right, boys? Or the hard way. At Survivor Series, you defend the championship in a 6-pack challenge match against the 5 of us. If anyone interferes on your behalf, they will be fired from WWE. You will be a sitting duck. The 5 of us will destroy you until you are carried out on a stretcher, unable to feel your legs, unable to breathe, unable to even be able to tell your wife apart from a crowd. Truth be told, she'll probably leave you. No more walks on the beach. No more chance of ever having kids. No more Hollywood. No more hustle, loyalty, or respect. After they carry you out on the stretcher, after they put you in a hospital where you will probably never see the light of day again, and after they inevitably put you in the ground from your injuries, may the best man win again. Right, fellas? So what'll it be, John? The easy way or the hard way? John simply replies, Braun, I think we've got a better idea. We? After a short pause, Randy Orton's music hits, and he walks down to the ring and stands shoulder to shoulder with John Cena. Not too much of a surprise. Obviously, Randy has been involved in this whole thing since the beginning. And Breakker takes it as such, saying, John, my patience is running out. I have been very, very reasonable here. But if you don't want to give me an answer, I guess we'll just have to end both here. CM Punk now comes down to the ring, and the odds are just a little bit more even for Team Cena. Breakker now gives up at this point, trying to talk to John Cena and get what he wants out of it, so he simply drops the mic and says, fine then. Throws the mic down and squares up to fight. But before he can, adrenaline in my soul. Yes, I'm bringing out Cody Rhodes. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a rhyme there. Cody Rhodes' beautiful music blares through the speakers, and he stands with Team Cena. No matter what, Cody Rhodes will always do what is right, and he does so again right here. Breakker then begins to count. Realizing that it's 5-4 before anybody else can come out, he starts to tell his men that it's time to attack. But it's too late, as the Intercontinental Champion, Ilya Dragunov, marches down to the ring and stands with one of his heroes, John Cena. Drew McIntyre, specifically, and in particular, seems very off-put by the sight of Dragunov, as McIntyre actually attacked him a few weeks ago and put Dragunov out of action for a few weeks because Drew was angry that he failed to regain the Intercontinental Championship back at Unforgiven. And as you can see, John Cena has assembled the Avengers to take out Braun Breakker and his horde of monsters. The World Heavyweight Champion, John Cena. The Viper, Randy Orton. The best in the world, CM Punk. and the Intercontinental Champion, the Unbesiegbar, Ilya Dragunov. Cena then grabs the microphone again and says, "Hey, Ilya, what was that idea you told me about?" Dragunov violently grabs the mic from Cena and screams that one glorious word. War Games! The 10 men then brawl, and for the first time since this whole thing started, Team Cena stands tall as Monday Night Raw goes off the air. Nick Aldis announces on YouTube several days later that on SmackDown, one day before Survivor Series, there will be a one-on-one match between Randy Orton and Big Bronson Reed to determine which team will get the advantage at Survivor Series. And that match ends with a big ol' tsunami. 1, 2, 3, Team Breaker gets the War Games advantage because the heels should always get the War Games advantage. Why do the babyfaces ever get the War Games advantage? It drives me bananas, and I hate it. But some shenanigans are attempted during that match, but are ultimately thwarted by the good guys in the end. And that ultimately brings us to Survivor Series, and this show takes place at Rocket Mortgage Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, just a few minutes up the road from where the very first Survivor Series was held in 1987. Just a nice little fun fact for all you history buffs out there. There is no way in hell that I am booking this entire match from start to finish because it would take me 3 more hours, and nobody wants to be here for that. But here is the order of entry for each team, so that way you guys can follow along. I put the order right up here for you guys for both teams so you can see. Obviously, that means Dragunov and Balor start the match, and the order will go as follows based on the bad guys coming in to get the 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, and 5-on-4 advantages. So, if you guys need to take a picture, go right ahead. Otherwise, let's keep it moving. The match will end with John Cena hitting a Super AA off the top of the cage onto Braun Breaker, and the other 4 men on his team cover him all at the same time for the 1, 2, 3. Team Cena is victorious at War Games. Oh, and by the way, for all those who are wondering why Randy Orton hasn't turned on Cody Rhodes yet in my booking, well, you get your wish, because as the match ends and everybody's celebrating for a few minutes, they all raise each other's hands, and then Randy Orton RKO's Cody Rhodes and slithers out of the cage before anybody else could get their hands on him. So once again, the good guys win the day, and John Cena will hope to move on from Braun Breaker, but I have a feeling he won't. The final premium live event in this story will be on December the 27th, and it will be live from Boston, Massachusetts, and that premium live event will be a Saturday night's main event, so it will be on NBC, and it will be on Peacock. But this isn't just any Saturday night's main event. This is going to be the last premium live event of John Cena's career, and only a couple of days before his last WWE appearance as a talent. So WWE has branded this premium live event in honor of John Cena. And so WWE on December 27th from Boston, Massachusetts will bring you Saturday night's main event, Ruthless Aggression. And just to clarify, what that means is whenever I say Saturday night's main event or Ruthless Aggression from here on out throughout the booking, that means the exact same thing. It's the same premium live event. They are not 2 separate ones. So hopefully that clears things up for everyone. On December 1st, it's the Raw After Survivor Series. John Cena has a sit-down interview with Michael Cole. They talk about their journeys here in the company together. They talk about how Michael Cole is the greatest of all time on commentary, and John Cena is the greatest of all time not on commentary. They talk about John Cena's regrets throughout his career, and if he really even has any. They talk about Randy Orton, and if John Cena saw what he did to Cody Rhodes coming last night, or 2 nights ago more accurately. But the most important topic of conversation is that in 30 days, John Cena will never wrestle again. Is there anything at all that John Cena has left to do? Anything he wants to accomplish before he goes? And Cena replies with, "Yes, I'm ashamed that I've only defended this title once. So tonight, the John Cena Invitational is back on." So, later in the night, Cena enters the ring and cuts his usual pre-open challenge promo with the whole "you want some, come get some" thing, and he's standing by the ropes, warming up when Braun Breaker comes out and drags John Cena out of the ring from behind. The brawl then takes place all throughout the ringside area and even a little bit into the crowd before John Cena pushes Braun Breaker back through the barricade and lifts him up for the AA, but just then security arrives, pulls Braun Breaker off of John Cena's shoulders, and separates the men and ushers the two to the back. It's pretty clear that while John Cena may have tried to be done with Breaker, Breaker is not done with John Cena. The next week, John Cena opens the show, and he immediately calls out Braun Breaker, and Breaker obliges and comes down to the ring ready to fight, but Cena says he did not come to fight. He gave Breaker that same chance a couple of weeks ago when Breaker asked him as a man to trust him, and even if he didn't necessarily mean it, he ended up not attacking him. So, Cena asks that Breaker give him the same benefit of the doubt that Cena gave him. And Breaker actually does. So Cena grabs the microphone, gets in Breaker's face, and says, "Here's the skinny. I hate you. I don't know if I have ever been capable of hating a man like I hate you." This whole thing, this year of Cena, it was supposed to be for them. For all of those who stuck by me for the last 23 years, and you couldn't let your ego aside. You took me to your side when I was struggling, when I was in need, when I was doubting myself, and for what? For some imaginary spotlight that I haven't held in years? Well, I'll cut to the chase. Whatever this is, this has to end. In 30 days, I'm out of here for good, and I won't be able to sleep at night if I walk out of this company with any unfinished business. You want to take me out? I'm going to give you your chance. December 27th. Ruthless Aggression. My hometown of Boston, Massachusetts. Braun Breaker versus John Cena for this. Pointing not to his heart. Well, that's not my heart either. That's the other side of my chest. To his championship. And Breaker responds with a simple, "I thought you'd never ask." Cena says, "Good." Goes to leave the ring. Oh, and just one more small thing, Braun. This won't just be a normal one-on-one match. I think you and I have gone way, way past that. See, the beautiful thing about this industry is you can break the law, you can destroy someone's family or burn down their home, and still find a way to settle it right here in this ring. And that's what we're going to do. I'm not even going to make sure you get fired. I am going to make you regret everything you have ever done to me. I'm going to embarrass you, and I'm going to make it so you wish you never crossed my path. I'm going to make you say the two most embarrassing and humiliating words in WWE history. I quit! Cena exits the ring, leaving Braun there to be angry, frustrated, and to think long and hard about the mess he's gotten himself into. 2 weeks before Saturday night's main event, Ilya Dragunov comes down to the ring on Monday Night Raw and says that what he's about to do is something that no one expects, and he asks the World Heavyweight Champion John Cena to come down to the ring. Cena obliges, and Ilya says that no one around here seems to be willing to acknowledge that the greatest of all times, well, time is running out. And Ilya can't stand to let one more second go by and allow this opportunity to slip away. John, there are so many people in the back, so many people in the audience here that want to thank you from the bottom of their hearts for everything you have done for our industry, including Ilya. Dragunov learned more by wrestling John than he has ever learned from anyone else, from anywhere else. And he just hopes that when his career is over, he could be half the champion that John Cena was. Because that would make him like an 8-time world champion, maybe even 9, and he would definitely take that as a career. Cena, of course, laughs at this and goes to respond to Ilya when they are interrupted by the newest member of Monday Night Raw, Oba Femi. He tries to stick his name into the Intercontinental Championship hat by saying he doesn't particularly care what John Cena has to say, and he really doesn't care what Ilya Dragunov has to say. So what that John Cena is leaving? All that means is that WWE needs a new ruler. And that ruler should be Oba Femi. And he's going to start his rule by taking the Intercontinental Championship from Ilya Dragunov. Bronson Reed then shows up and gets in the face of Oba Femi, saying that he is the one that's next in line for an Intercontinental Championship match. And Femi needs to get to the back of the line where newbies like him belong. Eventually, Adam Pearce comes out and makes a tag team match for later on in the night. John Cena and Ilya Dragunov versus Oba Femi and Bronson Reed. That match ends with Braun Breaker once again taking out John Cena while the ref was distracted, and Bronson Reed picking up a huge pinfall victory over the Intercontinental Champion, firmly cementing his place as the #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. 3 days before Christmas and the Raw before, Ruthless Aggression offers up a contract signing, and it will be the last one John Cena's career. And I know Braun Breaker, at least as of right now, isn't really looked at as the strongest of talkers. Not bad or anything, just not an unbelievable promo. He is going to have to step it up here, otherwise he's going to get eaten alive. And plus, Breaker, this is as good as it's ever going to get for you. So if you're going to step up, ironically, the time is now. Breaker says, "The whole world wants you to ride off into the sunset. Well, I want you to ride off to hell. After Saturday, your legacy won't be that you never gave up, or hustle loyalty and respect, or my time is now, or it's now or never, or whatever other crap you feel like peddling today. Your legacy will be that you were able to stand up to almost everyone. But when you met the badass, and the dogs started barking all over the world, and the time ticked away faster and faster, and you started to realize that your time is not now, but it's up, you ran away and quit. I'm not saying that I'm going to end your career, because we already both know that's happening anyway, and I'm definitely not going to say I'm going to kill you like one of my stupid teammates told you to your face. Instead, I'm just going to tell you, John, I'm doing the math, and it just doesn't add up for you, man. Because normally, when you're in a one-on-one match, you have a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a badass. And when the dogs start barking, that means I'm not normal. And so you have a 25% chance at best of beating me at Ruthless Aggression. And because I don't have those stupid teammates being dead weight holding me back like I did in Survivor Series, that means you got a 66 2/3 chance of not even showing up for our match at Ruthless Aggression. So you take my 75% chance and your 66 2/3 chance, and you put them together, that means I have a 141 2/3 chance of winning at Ruthless Aggression. So hear this. That means the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you, John Cena. Everyone else has said that they were going to make John Cena want to quit. Well, want to quit? You'll never want to quit. That's your whole thing. I'm not stupid. I'm not brain dead. So instead, I'll make sure you need to quit. Down to the very core of who you are, you will need to quit. Quitting will be the only way you will ever get to live the rest of your days. Quitting will be your only recourse to stop me from taking everything you hold dear away from you. Your career is over with. And it's over with or without me. But that title, your legacy and your life will be mine. In 5 days, the face that runs the place will be the face that runs away, because I've always had that dog in me. And on Saturday, I'll have Ruthless Aggression too. And Breaker signs the contract, and Cena responds, "It's a fine speech. And you're right. I've stood here so many times and front of so many great superstars. I'm very lucky. And I'm lucky to still be able to do this. And I'm lucky to be able to give these people every bit of myself before I go. So, here's the deal. You keep saying that my career is over, with or without you, right? That's what you just said. Allow me to give you the correct perspective, young man. When you wake up on Sunday morning, you get to keep going. I don't. So that means I have to empty the tank. I have to fight and fight and fight until I can't fight anymore, because for me, there is no tomorrow. And when you have to say those two awful words, you'll have to wake up and realize that my career's not the one that ended on Saturday. Yours did. You'll realize that everything that has happened is on you. You know, back in February, as my friend Cody would say, I was down on hard times. You know who pulled me out of that? You did. And I never got to thank you for that. Thank you for showing me what kind of man I am. And thank you for showing me that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how many times you get knocked down, John Cena will always get back up. And most importantly, thank you for making the biggest damn mistake of your life. You don't deserve my championship because you are not ready to represent what it means. What it means is that you aren't just a badass. You aren't just a young, up-and-coming superstar. It means that you are the very best that this industry has to offer. And quite frankly, you are not ready for that pressure. And I don't think you will ever be ready for that pressure. In short, like I told another person just a few short years ago who was in the same spot you were. You don't deserve this championship because you haven't earned it. And on Saturday, my career is going to end, and I'm taking your career with me. Throws the microphone down, and he signs the contract. And Breakker goes to spear John Cena out of his shoes, and he hits it, but his body, along with John's, crumbles to the floor. Eventually, John actually gets up long before Breakker does, throwing Breakker's completely unconscious body off of him. Cena then takes off one of those many fruity pebble-colored t-shirts to reveal a steel plate underneath, a la Bret Hart in WCW. John Cena gets the last laugh heading into Saturday. Here we are! I am sorry, I don't know what came over me. So, here we are. Saturday night's main event, and it is a special night indeed. Vignettes of John Cena's career play throughout the night. Several guest speakers come out to give their thanks and praises to John, and there is, quite frankly, very little actual wrestling that occurs on the show outside of the main event. The only other matches on the card are Ilya Dragunov versus Bronson Reed for the Intercontinental Championship, and Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. And if it matters, both the champions retain. Cena also comes out at the top of the show, at least from backstage, and urges everyone, regardless of affiliation, to stay in the back. Because whether you love him or you hate him, Breakker and himself need to do this on their own. Please, this is it for me. I want to go out the way I came in. Like a man. It needs to end. And whatever happens, it's now or never. And I am out of procrastination attempts. I have nothing left in the tank. We have finally arrived at the end. John Cena versus Braun Breakker for the World Heavyweight Championship. I quit. Referee Charles Robinson gets the honor of refereeing John Cena's last match. He is the longest tenured referee in the WWE, so I felt it appropriate. Both of these great superstars have stretches in this match where they are dominant. John Cena showcasing why he is a 17-time world champion and why he's the greatest of all time, taking advantage of all of Braun Breaker's overzealous mistakes. And Breaker showing his strength, speed, agility, athleticism, and raw intensity that John Cena struggles to match. But at the end of the day, you guys are not here to find out how the match starts or even the specifics of what happens in it. You are here to see how the story ends. And so, after months of storytelling on my part, and a year of fictional time elapsing in my booking, it is time. This is the finale. There's nothing else. Will Braun Breaker do the unthinkable and make the man who never gives up do just that? Or will John Cena retire as a champion with an unbreakable will? Let's find out right now. Breaker has gained control of the match, and it's not looking good for John. Breaker gets a pair of handcuffs and cuffs John Cena to the top rope. He's hanging outside the ring, off the apron, towards the hard cam side of the arena. And directly in front of him, in the front row, is John Cena's wife, his father, his 4 brothers, and his mother. They get an up-close look at John Cena, a broken, blood-covered mess of a man. The ref asks Cena if he quits, and he says no. Breaker then grabs the mic and says, "All right, John, you know, I was really hoping you would be this stubborn. So here's what I'm going to do. You're going to sit right there. That's where I'm going to keep you. Handcuffed to the rope. And you're going to be right in front of your family. And I'm going to beat you until you quit. Right in front of them." And they get to watch from 10 feet away while I end your pathetic existence. And it's up to you when it stops. And Breaker keeps his promise. He hits Cena repeatedly in his exposed ribs with a kendo stick. Cena says no. He hits him in those same ribs with a sledgehammer a few times, and then in the forehead, further making John Cena pour blood down his face and body. And Cena says no. He grabs a television monitor from the announce table that was destroyed earlier in the match and hits Cena in the head with it, and then comes back and drives a corner of it right into Cena's forehead where that cut was that's pouring blood. And yet Cena still says no. And it's at this point that Cena's wife and mother start to cry. One of his brothers has actually begun to shield his mother and cover her eyes because she just can't watch this anymore. Cena's father begins to bark, yes, pun intended, at Braun Breaker, and Breaker slaps him so hard that he crumbles to the floor. And yes, there is precedence for this with Cena's father, so I'm assuming that if asked, he would say yes to this. Cena starts, of course, kicking and violently trying to get at Breaker, and he actually does manage to kick Braun Breaker in the stomach, but because he's handcuffed, he's unable to take any further advantage of it. And this, of course, enrages Breaker even more than he was before, and he backs up and he spears John Cena right there on the apron. And then he does it again and again. Cena somehow says no. Breaker gives a wry, evil smile because he was hoping that Cena would say that. The rabid dog then grabs a chair and wraps it around Cena's neck, and again, all while Cena is still handcuffed to the ropes hanging outside the apron, or onto the apron outside the ring. He grabs another chair, and he hits John Cena in the back of the neck while his neck is still wrapped in that first chair. John Cena's body goes completely limp, and Charles asks Cena if he quits, but Cena cannot respond. Breaker then grabs a water bottle from the ringside area and throws it in Cena's face, waking him up before he steps back and starts boxing John Cena's ribs. And he then just squares back, punches John Cena as hard as he can, right in the jaw. Charles asks Cena, and this time Cena says, "My mother hits harder than you do." Breaker looks away, a mixture of anger, confusion, and determination. He goes over to the timekeeper's area where he kept the key to the handcuffs, and he goes over and uncuffs Cena. Cena's body falls to the floor, a mere 5 feet away from his family. He climbs up the barricade right in front of his wife, and she begins to beg him to stop. "Please, just say I quit." She can't watch this anymore. Cena stands up, separates himself from the barricade as Breaker runs around the entire arena and hits John Cena with a spear. Charles asks, and Cena says no. He then pulls himself up with the barricade again, and his wife continues to beg him, plead with him to quit. But Cena never quits, and he says as much to her, barely able to muster the words, "I can't. I won't." He separates from the barricade as Breaker tries again for that runaround spear, but this time Cena picks up the TV monitor off the ground from before and hits Braun Breaker in the head with it. Breaker gets hit as he's in midair and just crumbles down to the floor. This is Cena's chance. This is Cena's last gasp. Cena also crumbles to the floor. He needs this time. He needs this break. He stays there for just a minute. He just needs a minute. He gets up, stands up, and he screams as loud as he can with blood still pouring down his face. He then goes to grab Braun Breaker to go for another AA, but Breaker hits him with a low blow and crumbles Cena to the floor again. Breaker then goes under the ring and pulls out a toolbox. Inside the toolbox, he pulls out a chain with a padlock on the end, similar to the one that John Cena used to wear early in his career. Breaker then grabs the mic and says, "I'm going to leave this mic right here, John, whenever you're ready." He puts the microphone down on the barricade, just a little bit to the right from her perspective of John Cena's wife. He then wraps the chain around John Cena's neck and pushes him into the barricade and pulls back on the chain at the same time, choking the life out of John Cena right in front of his family. His wife can actually touch his arms. And the whole time this is happening, she's crying, begging, pleading with her husband to just quit. And with the microphone nearby, the whole arena and everyone at home can hear very faintly her pleas. She wants a family. She wants a life with John. Please, please, just quit and come back to me. It's okay. You've done everything you could. They'll understand. And Breaker releases the chain just as Cena is about to pass out, his face turning purple. Cena falls in a way where his head is on the barricade, but his back and his legs are outstretched behind him. Breaker then grabs one of those chairs he used earlier and hits John Cena in the back with it several more times. Cena gets back up using the barricade after once again saying he doesn't quit. And his wife cries harder, his mother cries harder, and even the men in his family begin to cry and beg him to stop because none of them can watch this anymore. Breaker goes around the ringside area again, going for another one of those spears. But just as Breaker turns the corner to hit John, he puts his hand up. Breaker puts on the brakes, stops right in front of John, and backs up. He then grabs the mic with his left hand and caresses the face of his wife with his right. Looking into her eyes, he says, "It's okay. Don't cry. Don't nobody go feeling bad for me. I've got everything I need. Right here. Charles, I'm gonna go home now. I quit." Charles can't believe it. He rings the bell. The match is over. John Cena, for the love of his family, has said, "I quit." Braun Breaker is your new World Heavyweight Champion. And he gets the biggest, most impactful win in WWE history. Yes, I am including Brock Lesnar beating the streak. I am including Cody Rhodes finishing the story. For this match to end in this way, Braun Breaker will get the most impactful win in WWE history. Because he has just made the man who never gives up say, "I quit." Our final chapter takes place on December 29th, the Raw after Ruthless Aggression. John Cena comes out and is absolutely beat to hell. A giant gauze bandage on his forehead, taped ribs, taped up arms, legs, whatever it is he needs. He has it. I mean, he is just demolished. He salutes to the camera, says goodbye to Stu, who puts the camera down, which he never does, and they embrace and they say that they love each other. Cena then goes to the ring. He gives a 25 or maybe even longer minute speech, the contents of which I won't even begin to try and describe because I'll never be able to do it justice. The only thing I will tell you is he talks about him saying "I quit" because, at least in this universe, it could be unfathomable that the man who never says "I quit" did just that. So, he tries to explain himself, and I think the best way to describe it is this. Every man reaches the point in his life where he has to make a choice. Do you continue marching forward at the detriment of yourself and your family? Or do you choose the embrace of those who only wish to see you thrive? Those who want to live life to the fullest alongside and with you. In other words, do you choose hate or do you choose love? And last night, or I guess Saturday night, because I really don't even know what day it is, I chose love. And that's really all there is to it. And if I had to do it all again, I wouldn't change a thing. Eventually, Cody Rhodes walks out to the ring and brings out the entire locker room, who are all standing out there, with the exception of some of those who Cena have feuded with and a spattering of others. Randy Orton actually joins them and temporarily puts aside his rivalry with Cody Rhodes, gives Cena a hug. Followed by Ilya Dragunov, CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, and frankly, anyone else in the locker room who wants to give their individual thank yous to John. Others who come out and thank John include Triple H, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Kurt Angle, Adam Copeland, or Edge for those not in the know, Roman Reigns, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, and many others. It is truly a family affair. The thank you Cena chants permeate throughout the night and reverberate throughout the broadcast as Cena walks away and we all say goodbye to the greatest wrestler who's ever lived. The feed goes to black, but the audio lingers long enough to get just a few more thank you Cena chants in. Thank you Cena. Thank you Cena. Thank you Cena. Thank you for everything. All right. Why? Yeah, it has it has been a grind in this room for the last few months, but in all of the best ways. And if you are still here, thank you. I appreciate you very much. I love you. Thank you for sticking through this very long, very intricate story that I've put together. It, to me, is my best work that I've ever done on this channel, and I don't even think it's particularly close. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, please like the video, subscribe, please share the video as well. I normally try not to ask for things like that in my videos, but after this long of a video, if you're still here and you haven't done that, I mean, like, please, you know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm really having a hard time coming up with words at this point. Again, it has been a long process getting this thing done, and I am sad that it is over because I had an absolute blast doing it, but also I am grateful because the world can finally see it and hear it like I've been seeing it and hearing it since November 2024 when I started writing this story. So again, thank you guys so very much if you're still here for watching, and until next time.